Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Super excited to have you here today. Lots and lots and lots doing. Happy to share a lot of good stuff with you guys today. Excuse me while I get my screen all set up. Here we go. Here we go. All right. We are ready to roll for the next, I don't know, as long as we want to roll for. We'll see how long the voice holds up. I won't lie. We've been under the weather a little bit. And so I don't know how long the pipes are going to last, but we'll keep on going. I'll try. I'm actually going to do this here. Do this here. Change this up. I'm going to get the mic closer. That way I don't have to shout today, even though I'm usually pretty loud anyway. So good morning, guys. Super excited to be here. As I said in the live stream on the posting, just was going to talk to you guys a little bit today about historical rents. One of the things that a lot of landlords don't know because they haven't been landlords through a recession before or through a great recession before. One of the things that a lot of landlords don't know is that rents actually still go up. Usually what happens is they slow a little bit. It really depends. Again, everything is hyper local. I can only speak to specifically my market. But I did pull some interesting national numbers. Again, what you'll typically find is that rents actually don't go down. They actually never go down. What they do is they slow. The pace slows. So just to give you guys an idea, we all, if you were not a landlord in 07, 08, and 09, you certainly remember just kind of that heavy, depressing feeling, always watching the news, foreclosures, forbearances, loan workouts, REOs, pre-REOs, in default, in foreclosure, lots of painful stuff. So what I wanted to kind of talk about today was, again, no reason to freak out. However, you definitely, absolutely want to have a good rent box ready. So Mike from One Rental at a Time always talks about, sorry, I'm going to just mute my phone so it's not going off the whole show. One of the things that we see all the time is, Mike talks about the buy box, which is picking the criteria for the houses that you want, looking at a certain market, and then measuring the yield that you're going to get on your money in that market and making sure that if average is 6, that you're doing at least a good deal at 8 or a great deal at 10. More often right now in this market, we're all looking for only great deals because we're not going to be the only game in town, but we're one of the fewer games in town. So what I always encourage people to do too is the same thing called a rent box. Introduced the concept about 3 weeks ago. It's one of the things that I'm absolutely watching is certain areas. In fact, I think Andrew P from yesterday from Mike's live stream was talking about deals in Oakland and things like that. Now, I can't speak to any specific area but my own, but I can tell you that rents in certain areas of the cities that I do business in, some rents in some areas are significantly higher. In some of the classic historic district, tree-lined streets, ones that are right downtown but are beautifully landscaped and everybody on the street's a beautiful home. Those areas drive a lot more rents. So what's interesting is that I actually, from a rent box perspective, I can actually track that where I can say, okay, this house over on Cushing Street, as an example, or this apartment on Cushing Street, 2-bed, 1-bath, and they're getting $1,400. The key is what you want to be doing is just like you're comparing houses, you need to be comparing amenities in the actual apartment. So does it have off-street parking? In the Northeast, that's really important. Is heat included? In the Northeast, that's really important. So things like that, when it comes to the rent box, you have to build it specifically for your own areas because there are certain maybe 5 to 7 criteria that are really important and specific to your area. In laundry unit or in unit laundry washer and dryer, laundry and washer on site, laundry and washer at the laundromat. That will affect how long someone will stay. It might not drastically affect the rents you're going to get. It will affect it a little bit, but it might not drastically affect it. So it's one of those things where people are like, they'll always get to the point where they're just like, you know what? I'm sick of going to the laundromat. And so in those buildings, we have a little bit more turnover. We don't actually get less for rent, but we do see more turnover. So that's kind of that piece on the rent box, but something to kind of keep in mind. You have your buy box. If you have everything set up for your buy box, now you just create different columns, looking at the different rents and tracking those in the area. The places to track them are the areas. You're not going to capture the whole net, the whole internet worth of rents. However, every single market has the places that people go to rent their units, and they're ones that are most prevalent. For us, it's Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, and Craigslist. Those are the three most often places that we get our renters from. I'd say that it's probably 90%. We post in some other places, but 90%, 95% of our tenants come from those three sites. So that's really where we focus our analytics on, is taking a look at that. So what's really interesting is that if you're ever having that conversation with the housing authority or having that conversation with your bank, guys, the presentation that I did, I'm actually shocked that few people watched that presentation. How I got my bank to create a product for me, that is pure gold. Even if you're just pitching yourself and your business to another local bank of how you do business, so you understand that they're not going to disappear when it comes to doing a loan. I'm not saying that seller financing is dead. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that you need to have as many solutions to the problem as you possibly can. It's kind of like getting up to bat. If you can get up to bat and you're really good at hitting a fastball, which is doing business with, a normal everyday bank, but you can't hit a curveball and you can't hit a slider and you can't hit anything else, guess what? You better pray that they only throw fastballs. That's not how you become an elite investor. How you become an elite investor is just like how you become an elite ball player. You hit the curveball, you hit the slider, you hit the fastball, you hit the four seam. Like, these are all the different pitches that you have to hit. So when I get in that room, the reason why I always win great deals, or almost always win great deals, is because I can pivot at a second's notice when I'm having that conversation there with the seller. It's because I know what all of my other options are. And that's how you become elite. It's being able to make the most of that situation far more often. Understanding if you want to be a great buyer, you need to be a great listener. And you need to then align with those concerns. And then when you're aligning with those concerns, say, so let's try and work this piece out. So what would you be thinking along those lines? This is how often, if I want a deal, I get it, because I don't believe that there's any problem that can't be overcome with conversation and respect of what they're trying to accomplish. So aside from that being some amazing advice, let me share with you a little bit of the numbers. Yeah, Chester, change up a knuckleball. Absolutely. The knuckleball, though, like if you throw the knuckle, we all know that your fastball's garbage. Who threw the knuckler that had a fastball? Not very many. Necro, his fastball was junk. Tim Wakefield, his fastball was junk. I'm just throwing that out there, Chester. I know a little bit about baseball. So yeah, the guys that throw the knuckler, usually they got junk for a fastball. I could hit their fastball because usually it's thrown about 65 or 70. So real quickly, so the rent numbers. Wanted to just encourage you guys. So nationally, give me just 1 second here because I put all the numbers on my phone. Nationally, from a rent perspective, the very worst year nationally, let's see, was still about 2%. And so, for example, in my market, give me just 1 second. I just lost my place with my market. Son of a biscuit. And again, this is my state, not my towns. But in the last 20 years, rent in my state has gone up 77%. Do you know how many more properties I wish I bought 20 years ago? I mean, I was just starting out, so I could only do one at a time. But holy cow. it's been a big ride. So it appears that I picked the right market, right? So New Hampshire, let's see. So fair market rent in 2020 was 1147. So a couple things. There have been some assertions, and I like to use this time to clean up some assumptions that were meant or made during the week. There's two assumptions that were made that I want to make sure that we address. One assumption was all my units are $2,000 and $3,000. They are not. I have 35 rentals or 36, 35 or 36 rentals that are under $1,000, under 1,000. So when I talk to you, I'm not talking to you as a landlord of only units that are $2,000 and $3,000. And so I have all these, big margins and extra pricing pressures that I can apply. I don't. My market is exactly like you guys. If you guys didn't see that video that I put out on Friday, actually walking Mike through my market, he said, I've seen probably 50 markets in the US. Yours is the hardest market I've ever seen. My market is ridiculous. It is really hard, but because I'm elite, I can extract the right things out of it, just like you guys can eventually out of your markets. My market is garbage because there's assets that are completely untouchable because the market is so hard. So real quickly, what's really interesting is that, again, our fair market value rents are 1147. I have 35 or 36 units. We'll call it 35 units under the cost of $1,000. Now, I also have probably 30 units. I probably have 30 units that are above $2,000, right? So it's kind of mixy mash. And then we have some that are over 3,000. But I wanted to talk to you guys about that just because the idea of the improvements and the product reviews, the idea of the product reviews is to help you guys on a budget increase the perceived value of your property. That's what I've done a really good job at. That's one of the pieces of this game that I'm elite at, is that I can actually take something, make some tangible, nice upgrades that don't break the bank. I'm not talking about a jacuzzi in the back that's $7,000. I'm talking about $100 here, $100 there, $100 here, a couple $100 over here. So when your entire budget's done on my project, I might have spent, probably I'm going to buy the other stuff better. So I'm still going to end up better than most people rehabbing a project because I've done this so many times. However, I might spend an extra $1,000 or $1,200, but the perceived value, in many cases, if you're a newer landlord, you haven't had to compete for the great tenant, right? The people with 800 credit scores, 780 credit scores, 6x net income as opposed to 3x net income. You haven't had to compete because the market is so hot and there's so little supply. And largely, I'm going to talk a little bit about supply today too, because I think there's a lot of supply coming from programs. And that's why, like, we looked at it and 85% of the people that applied, 85% didn't meet the credit criteria. 85%. And a majority of those 85%, I'd say 70 or 80% of those 85% were housing voucher. And they just thought, hey, because I'm a housing voucher, the rest doesn't matter. It does matter. We still look for that credit score. So you have the same criteria that all of our other tenants do. You still have to reach the credit score. And so what I find really interesting is that's why we put out the video on Friday is get your credit right. Get your credit right. Get your money right. I don't care if you don't have the income, certainly if you're on a program, but I do still care about your credit score because it means you took care of business with your other bills. Okay. But yeah, so the worst year for rental increases was still single digit rental increases, even nationwide. And that was even during the Great Recession. So I would tell you the key to those renters staying strong is the rent box and the rent criteria that you use to fill the unit. if they have an 800 credit score or 750 credit score, then they have always been focused and they care about their credit. You show me somebody that's got a 450 or a 550 credit score, I'll show you somebody that doesn't give two you-know-whats about paying their bills on time. Anyway, that's what I wanted to cover with you guys today so far. Let's jump in and do some questions so I don't get too far behind. So I'm the Lumberjack Landlord, 117 units at current count. We close on a fourplex, I think in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, maybe 2 weeks. I think we close on another 4. So we'll be at 121. Super exciting. And I don't know what my next goal is. My next goal is do another awesome deal like that. If I can do another awesome deal like that, oh my word. And that's actually, just so you guys know, that is my it's either my 6th or my 7th deal this year. So we're averaging 1 a month, which is more than I ever thought I'd average, just being brutally honest. All right, let's jump in, guys. Dividend Dave. Hi. Hello. How are you and the family, Lumberjack? We are good. We are good. We all had a cold the last week. Thankfully, it wasn't you know what, but we all had a cold. And so we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Dawn. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Dawn. Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Vegas, baby. So for those of you who don't know, I've got a broker in Vegas. His name is Brian Lebo. He's from the Lebo Group. He owns it. And so he's awesome. I love my broker in Vegas. Also a car guy. We've known each other for probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And I told him, I said, I met him based on like a car kind of connection, and was watching his channel and said, I'm not ready yet, but I will be. And so we're just checking with him every 6 months or so, or we would check each other when we got, updated or changed something with the cars that we drive. Some of the cars that we drive. Cause I don't have any cool cars anymore. I'm now not cool. But Brian's always cool. And so he is an amazing broker, knows the Vegas market inside and out. And right now the Vegas market, because I have my searches set up, I have to narrow my searches. There is so much inventory coming on the market on a daily basis. There is so much inventory coming on. I have to change my searches. And I'm only searching in 2 towns. There's that much inventory coming on. It is going to get nasty there. 100 houses a day are coming to market. Doesn't matter how fast they're selling because 100 net are coming to market. Now, before you start thinking crash, here's what I can tell you. Perfect example. House was 1.05 million. They reduced it in the first 7 days to 950. Other stuff in that neighborhood is trading in the high 8s to give you an indication. So there's still wish pricing. And 3 years ago, that house sold for 550. So that's why I'm not calling crash, because that's not a crash. That's somebody being an ignoramus at 1050. That's somebody still not being that bright at 950 and saying, I only need one. But at $1 million in Vegas, in this town, you're going to get a cookie cutter house. So there's going to be 15 others that are going to be just like it over the next 6 streets. So they're foolish. That 950, I guarantee will get a price reduction again. And when it gets a price reduction again, it'll be in the 8s. And then it will be trading in the area where those houses actually trade for. And so it's not, and so that's still, we still haven't given up any gains that we've already seen this year of the 16.6. So here's what I would tell you. Don't confuse massive price drops with losses, because a loss is only realized when you sell. And a loss is only a loss if it's lower than what the previous house sold for. So that's where I look at things, and I'm looking at realized sales price. I'm not looking at price reductions, because there's people that are putting things on the market 20% more than they should be with just a hope and a prayer, thinking it's March, and it's not, and rates are crazy. But I ask you, if you sold a house now at 850, or if you bought a house now at 850 versus buying a house 3 months ago at 850, did you pay more? The answer is yes. You paid way more because you're buying it today with probably a 5.5 rate, maybe a 6 rate. And then you bought it with a 3.5 or a 3.8. Just math, guys. Let's embrace the decimals. LV, teach me. Hello, everyone. Hello, LV. Andrew P. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Andrew. Dion, talk financial freedom. How is my much, much, much younger brother from another mother doing? It's Dion getting me for the age comments I made last week. I'm not that much younger. I think I certainly don't feel that much younger some days. I'm just looking at it, enjoying my golden years as much as Dion's enjoying his. I takes more vacation than a dear heavens. I don't know who takes a lot of vacations. I don't know. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. What was really funny was we were texting back and forth and he goes, is it bad that I already planned my next vacation on my vacation? And I was like, it depends. Are you actually coming home first or are you just going right to the next one? That's the issue. We'll see what happens with Dion with that. Don asking Dion how Alaska was. Chester Williams, good morning, Matt and everyone. Good morning, sir. Robert Farinelli, good morning. Kip Stevens, good morning. Hope family is getting back to some normalcy. Love the product reviews. Yeah, guys, product reviews are on fire right now. We've got a bunch. I think we've got 2 or 3 coming this week. We're going to cover more plumbing stuff for the, I'm looking around my office to see if I brought it in. I didn't. We're going to cover shark bites, specifically what those are, how they work. Again, that's definitely a self-management thing. We're also going to cover closets. One of the big important things is people talk about converting rooms into closets. Well, here's one of the interesting things. Do you want to have to bring in a framer, frame it up, sheetrock it, trim it out, put a door on it? In many areas, not all, in many areas, doors are not required for it to be considered a closet, and closets are required for it to be considered a bedroom. But the determination is in what you can actually make a closet. So I have some hacks that I've done in my properties, and appraisers, and I've argued with a number of them, but appraisers all have relented and said, that's a closet. So we're doing a video specifically this week on those. And I think that will help you guys out a ton. So we will take you guys through the lumberjack closet. Yeah, it's good. Sam Farho. Hello, lumberjack. Hello, Sam. Chester Williams. Shameless plug for Matt's product review series. Thank you, Chester. Yeah, that review series, quite frankly, is going to be awesome. We're going to be doing a lot more of it because as I sat down and I made a list of the products that we use like 70 products specific to us that we've kind of put our package together. And this is how I can flip a house in 30 to 45 days. So we have very specific products that we use them for a reason. And then we also can adjust up and down based on the application in the building. Because the same thing isn't the right thing for every building. But I'll teach you how to understand that. Theta Hedge Capital. Hey, family. Agreed. This is fun. This is family time. Chester Williams. Yeah, people are missing out if they haven't seen the loan product video. Thank you, Chester. Yeah, and that's coming. And Chester knows his math inside and out. So I appreciate that from Chester, especially because he's a math guy, accounting, knows his stuff inside cold. So yeah, that video, you got to watch that video because you've got to get what I would call a brag deck. You've got to get a couple PowerPoint slides. And it's not hard. It might take you, if you're really good at PowerPoint. So for me, I built that PowerPoint in less than an hour. If you're really good at PowerPoint, if you're really bad at PowerPoint, you've never used it before and you're getting like Microsoft Office or something, there's all sorts of tutorials out there, but you can put a deck together probably in a few hours. Again, just 2 or 3 slides. That's all you need. You don't need 15 slides. You just need 2 or 3. Take a look at mine. Mine will give you an indication of exactly the data that I put in there. I'm not saying that you share all those same data points, but you need to have 6 or 8 points that you're talking through when you're targeting those banks to actually have that conversation with, to make sure that when it's time and when there is that recession, when we do start to see a down market, that you understand how they're working, because I've already disqualified 2 banks that are not going to do business, that I'm not going to do business with during that time, because they've already told me their products, they're not going to have the best products available to me. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Okay. All right, cool. Let's see. Chester Williams, this is true. Yes, yes. That was about the changeup and the knuckleball. The changeups, yeah, changeup is a different story. But the knuckleball, yeah. LV Teach Me, great listener, great deals. It's true. It's absolutely true. We win a lot of deals. We win a lot of deals because we listen well, and we're always trying to tailor the deal to them, because what works for one won't work for another. Some people like the sexy sound of cash, 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 cash. Who cares? Do you have to close in 14 days? Do you have to close in 14 days? Then who cares if it's that guy's cash or the bank's cash? Who cares? The only thing that makes it a differentiator is if in the loan, or if in the PNS, the purchase and sales agreement, is if financing is contingent on something, or if the deal is contingent on that financing. Because I can say, yeah, if you want to close in 30 days, that's fine. Do you care if it's cash or if we use my bank, and no contingencies, we're fine. Like, no, I don't care. And if it's pitched that way, it's truthful. And most importantly is it gets you right. It's still going to get you a deal. And then you have to go through the extra step of buying it, paying closing costs a second time, getting, all the extra work done a second time, just so you can then put the paper with the bank. And so one more thing before I finish up going through the list, is there's been a bone to pick that I've had with somebody on the channel talking about my integrity and my character when I position a deal where I do no inspections. This is a strategy that I use on almost all my deals in right now to get ahead, because I have done 50, 60, 70 gut rehabs. I've done a ton of construction work. I know what I'm looking at. I'm willing to assess that risk myself, and my bank, most importantly, understands for me. They don't freak out when they don't see an inspection, because I'm me, because we have a relationship. We've had one for 7 years, and they know how I do business, and they know that I know what I'm doing. I've spent hundreds of thousands, millions. I've spent millions of dollars. My single largest project would probably, as far as construction goes, with rehabbing, was probably about 300 grand. I've done millions of dollars, millions upon millions of dollars of rehab loans and rehabbing, period. So the bone of contention was about one specific facet. He believes that I'm being dishonest when I say no inspections, but I still have to do a walkthrough, right? That there's no inspections, but I still have to do a walkthrough. And that if in the one case where there was a massive, massive issue, I can't remember if it was it was something big. It was structural, foundational. It was a big, big, big problem that in the showing, in the first showing, was completely covered up by people's stuff. They had since moved a lot of that stuff out. And in walking through, I saw this massive issue. This isn't a $5,000 issue or even a $10,000 issue. This is a pretty big issue. Could be $15,000, $20,000 issue. So my belief is that even though I agreed to no inspections, the house and the loan are still contingent on the bank approving financing. Because the bank is my partner in any one of my deals, and also not only my partner, but also a quote unquote majority partner. The reason that they're a majority partner is because they're putting up 70% of the cash, or 75% of the cash, or 80% of the cash, and I'm putting up 20% of the cash. Now, while I might be the operator, they are still the bank. And because I have relationship with my bank, I believe the thing of integrity to do is everyone go in eyes wide open, which is I found that massive issue and I didn't hide it. I didn't conceal it from my bank. I went to my bank and said, there is this major issue. It's 15 to 20, in my estimation, it's going to be $15 to $20,000 to fix. I said, I didn't sign up for inspections. But I want to make sure that you guys know that this major issue exists and I'm going to have to spend $15,000 or $20,000 on it. If that changes the calculus for you on the deal where you now no longer want to do the deal and you're going to decline me financing, that's fine. I understand. But I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this because you're my bank and you're my partner. Me personally, I believe that that's the integrity move because I have loyalty to my bank. They're my partner in this. And even if it weren't, it's not only self-serving. And that's what I was accused of, is that that move was only self-serving and it was just to get out of the deal. It wasn't just to get out of the deal because the bank said, nope, we'll honor the financing. That's fine. I would have done the deal. Way it goes. That's the lump that you take. They said, yep, yeah, you have enough in reserves. You have enough of a cash position. This was years ago. I wasn't in that position. This was years ago. And then they said, you know what? We're going to have to work something out. And so it's not like that never happens, but my integrity, my character, my honor, my honesty was all questioned. And I have a real problem with that because you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that carries themselves better than I do in business and in life, because that's what I teach my kids all the time. So I wanted to make sure to air that dirty laundry. I wanted to make sure to answer your guys' questions if you saw the responses on my video, but that is my stance. That will always be my stance. I do deals with no inspections a lot of the times because that's a way to get an advantage in a deal. And I don't nitpick. If it's 2,000 here or 3,000 there, or even 5,000 there or 8,000 there, that's fine. All good. Whatever. That's such as life, way it goes. But if it is materially different and something materially changes, I'm not accusing them of hiding it, even though it was convenient that a bunch of stuff was stacked up there, but they had to get the things out. I'm not saying that they deceived. That'd be a different story. I am saying that it wasn't there. And as the way the mop flops, I owe my bank the explanation, because the last thing that I could have them see is that I knew of an issue that was materially changing things, materially changed me financially, and put them at a different risk calculation. Why do you think financing gets turned down? It gets turned down based on their assumed risk. And if they believe that there's too much risk because now there's this massive expense that wasn't counted on previously, then that's when they're going to deny financing. So he called me lack of character, lack of honesty, and basically swindling somebody just because I was open and honest with my bank. Now, that is on a very large issue. Like I've said, he was making the claim that if anything came up that I could always walk from the deal. I don't have that reputation. I don't do it that way either. If it's 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000, whatever, take my lumps. That's the way it goes. But guess what? I calculated for that because I've never had an $8,000 surprise other than a boiler dying 2 weeks after I bought a property. Oh, well, c'est la vie. That's life. Good for the seller, bad for me. I had to pay money and replace it. Is what it is. It's the way it goes. We've all had that happen to us where we've opened something up and it became a bigger problem. Way it goes. So I wanted to make sure to clean up that dirty laundry because I don't like being questioned like that. That's one of my pet peeves, especially when I put everything out there that I do for you guys to make sure that we're handling ourselves and handling ourselves in deals where there's honor, character, integrity. But you have to, it's not selective. It can't be only honor, character, integrity with the seller's agent. They know that deals fall apart for that reason. And if they don't, then they're not seasoned enough and they haven't done enough deals. The bank is my partner in these deals. It's my responsibility to make sure that if there's something significant material that's an issue in a deal, that I tell them before they make that financial commitment, because that could change and skew the numbers. And that's who I owe it to. So a bunch of people didn't like that response, but that's okay. The way it goes. I am what I am. So Sam Farho, Zuber was asked yesterday, what happens after less transactions era? He is thinking of it. What do you think will happen? After less transactions? More. Oh, yeah. Okay. So after transactions fall. So what ends up happening is you will start to see days on market sitting. You will see increased days on market. Then, so I've always said, after you start to see transactions sitting there or houses sitting there, you're going to have two camps. One, we have to sell, guys. We got to sell. Jobs moving. This is happening. That's happening. We have to sell. We want to get out of it. We have to get out of the school district. we have to do it for whatever reason. We have to, move in with my parents because someone's sick, whatever that reason is, you make that adjustment. But you then, at that point, you either have to rent or you have to sell. Most people won't venture down the path of renting. Most will end up selling. You've just created a motivated seller. Now, in the very beginning, what you'll start to see is very few motivated sellers turning into more motivated sellers, turning into a lot of motivated sellers. And what you then start to see is then you start to see price reductions. And the question is, how fast? I believe that we give back some of the 16.6% that we increased this year in pricing growth. I believe that's the number that starts to track backwards. At the end of the year, we still double digits. I think we're between 8 and 12%. That's not scientific at all. It's really just kind of that particular number is more of a kind of a gut feel, because I don't think the bottom's going to fall out, but I think that there are going to be motivated sellers, and it takes more and more motivated sellers to really move the national needle is where I think it's really going to happen. I think that if you're above, it depends on your median home price, but I think that if you're 30%, 20, 30, 40% above your median home price in that kind of that move up buyer, I think those are going to be the folks in the most trouble. And if you're looking in that number area, I think they're the ones that are going to get the best deals. Sorry. Thanks. Excuse me. So that's what I think will happen, Sam. Great question. So I think it goes crash in transactions and then crash in transactions will translate to motivated sellers, which will translate to price reductions, which will eventually translate into net negative price reductions, i.e. lower than what the previous property sold for. That's just like it. So negative net price comp. That's what I think starts to happen. Who knows if that's going to take 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, but that's why I believe, that's why I was talking about Q4, Q1 recession. If we're in recession now, kind of that's why I targeted 2023 as being kind of a rough year where I think we give back. I think, housing's probably negative in 2023. We'll see. Been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I still don't see a massive crash. I don't see it being over 20%. I do see some markets being that potentially. But I don't do business in those markets. And I don't spend enough time analyzing those markets. So that piece I don't know. LV teach me, create a rental box. Yes, absolutely. I believe that if you're doing only a buy box, you're only doing half the work. That's what I believe. I believe you have to have a rental box, because where I've discovered value, everybody can create a buy box, and most people do. They have general criteria that they're using to figure out what they want to buy. The problem is that they don't spend enough time on the rental side, which is the side that matters just as much as the buy side. Why? Because what happens if rents in that neighborhood in the last, 2 months, 3 months are trending downwards? Well, that property isn't worth what it was. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm always talking about knobs and levers on a control board. And I think buy box is this section of the control board. But you have a whole other section of the control board, which is rent box, which is numbers up, an area that might be up. We had one that completely changed where they got rezoned and they got put to a different school system. And now they're in a school system. They went from a school system that scored a 4 out of 10 to a school system that scores a 10 out of 10. Guess what? Rents in that area have gone crazy. Why? Because families want to be in that area where they're getting the value of a public education for free, as opposed to having to send their kids to a private school. Because that's how good that public school sector is. That's how good they are, is that they give the equivalent of that expensive private school education, whereas the other school system doesn't really. Tom Kine, good morning, sir. Happy 4th of America. Happy 4th, America. I agree. Greatest country in the world, no matter what other people try and country shame us, whatever. So anyhow, and very glad that my grandparents chose this country. It might be a little bit mental if they chose something else. So very happy that they chose it. LV, teach me, watch loan product video, lumberjack landlord. Thank you, LV. Yeah, I think it'll change and shift for a lot of you. I think it'll give you something, a tool, another tool in your tool belt to help become elite. Robert Fiorinelli, this year or last year, I forget, there was a spending cap the state placed on town cities unless 2/3 of the alderman selectmen override. Yep. Maybe they could increase spending by 3% and taxes by 20%, but unlikely. But those 20% increases only happen when reassessments happen any 5 years. And the total tax in Manchester anyways didn't go up 20%. It's just a downshift of the burden from large multi and commercial to smaller residential. So they're trying to get more out of the residential across the board. Yes. But the reassessments, we are still reassessed every year and rate every year. They use a computer-based calculation to do it. So you'll see if you look at the last 4 years of assessment in your town, it still went up. They just used a computer generated algorithm to actually create that assessment increase. It's just not where they actually did assessments. When they actually do the assessments, it will be bigger. It will be bigger. The reason that they do it the way that they do it is so you don't have this big one lump sum every 5 years. Also, so the city doesn't get one big lump sum every 5 years. But rate, every single year, it goes like this in the counties that I'm in and in the cities that I'm in. So it goes, rate goes up, assessment down a little bit, but still a net positive. Then rate goes down, all the politicians, rate went down, rate went down, rate went down. Assessment went up 7%. The rate stayed the same, but the assessment went up 7%. So this still ticked it up. So there was still a net increase. There's always a net increase in taxes every single year in the state of New Hampshire. There's always a net increase. Play with the numbers all you want, rate and assessment, play with them all you want, but it's always doing this and it's always climbing higher. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that, because that's what actually happens. It's a little bit nuts. So anywho, oops, did I just, oh, sorry. Whoa. Sam Firehouse, do you, I don't have a video on the rent box yet. There is one, I think it's a video that I did with Mike. It is a video I did with Mike talking about the rent box. And so, but it was on my channel. So I can try and find, it might even, rent box might even be in the title, but take a look on my channel. It's there. If you don't see it, just hit me underneath and I'll get you. Said Google just, or YouTube just prompted me saying, now's a good time to actually have an ad. Brought to you by the lumberjack. Angel R, El Hombre El Alpha. Oh, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Sammy Farho, happy 4th assist. Well done, Sam. Well done, Sam. Ryan Allen, hello from Lexi and I. How is the family? Hi, Lexi. Lexi is one of the few kids that watches the channel, but that's all right. She'll be some of your people's landlords later on in life, the tenants that are watching. Ready on, good morning. Caught this live today. Cool to see you. Do you use only active listings when calculating the average return of your market, or use closed listings as well? I only use actives. And the reason that I only use actives is because it doesn't matter what I do. I want to know what's currently going on in the market, not what was going on in the market necessarily. I always talk to Mike and, try and share with you guys, the audience is I am concerned with where things are going, not with where things have been. It's important to generally understand where things have been, but if I were given one superpower over another, I would much rather want to know where things are going than where they've been. That's me. Sam Farho, please add this video to the rent box playlist if you have one. I do have one. I will find it. I'll track it down for you. Rob, lumberjack bowling shirt. It's actually not a bowling shirt. It's a polo. Rob. You should know what these look like. You live in San Diego. Don't people like wear these things all the time, or is it just tank tops out there? Robert Farinelli. So this bank that you use, can you tell me the name and want to have a talk to them? And if I like what I hear, want to park my emergency fund with them. Yeah, sure. So it's Newburyport Bank. In fact, I'm trying to get one of their vice presidents on the channel to actually do an interview. She's unbelievably busy, but she's amazing, and she's an absolute howl. We crack each other up. She's a lot of fun to work with. But yeah, I like them a lot. They're a 240-year-old bank. I don't remember. I think I might have something commemorative from them. I don't think I do. I had something. So they are a 200-plus-year-old bank. They're more conservative, and that's why you need to pitch them on this is my business. If you guys saw that video that I did, I was conservative in the numbers that I shared and what I account for. And that makes bankers feel comfortable because they're lending you their money. That's how it goes. So it's funny when people say, oh, well, a bank turned me down, but would you be willing to finance the deal? Dude, if a bank turned you down, you think I have better controls in place than these local banks? They're conservative. I'm conservative too. I always look at everything, but I always tell them the likely chance that I'd approve over a bank is slim to none. But Slim's still here. And if you're wondering what this is, it is a sugar-free flavored seltzer. It's really good, actually. Quite yummy. Jeremy Kirkwood, good morning, all. Walking a duplex in Fort Wayne today and changing door locks at a fourplex today. Excited for the stream. Cool, Jeremy. Jeremy, hustling on the weekends. I love it. He's kind of always hustling, but even on the weekends, it's really good. Bitcoin man, where is all the inventory in Vegas coming from? Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think that there are, I think that people might be nervous about their jobs. I think they might be nervous about the market shifting. I think some of them might be second homes. It's a really good question. Right now, I've only been tracking the market about 4 weeks. So I think I know, Bitcoin man. I think I know. I don't know that I know. So that's what I'm going to be formulating kind of over the next 4 to 8 weeks. I'm spending, like I said, I started doing homework because I felt like a change and shift was going to be coming. And literally, I was about 3 weeks early. That's it. 3 weeks early. That's as early as I was because I was like, there's going to be a shift coming. And then within 3 weeks, the market really started shifting heavy to where it was 60 net new listings a day. Net new, not 60 new listings, net new 60 listings, meaning 60 more than sold. That's the issue, is that inventory build is massive. They're up 50%. They went from 3,000, or no, they went from 2,800 or something, or 2,700, something like that, to now over 5,300 active listings. 4 weeks. I think it was 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. So I've literally watched them in that time. And yeah, the numbers are they are churning. I think this week they were just under 100 a day for the week average. But that was with, was it Father's Day last? No, that was 2 weekends ago. But that was with the 4th of July weekend coming. So a lot of people, I don't think, listed yesterday or today to get their house on the market before the 4th. And then next week, it'll kind of be, again, nothing's really going to get posted on the 4th, and people will be kind of slow on Tuesday and that sort of thing. So I think the first real indicator is going to be the first full week in July, where, again, this is summertime, guys. This is 110-degree heat, Las Vegas, and they're listing now. Numbers are shifting and shifting fast, and I'm a little bit giggling. Obviously, there's no way you can time a market. But doing my homework and having to adjust my buy box based on there being so much inventory is a little bit warming. It really is, because I know I'm going to have a good shot at a great house. And I'm not going to catch a falling knife. Like I don't have to buy out there. I can buy when I'm ready. If I don't buy something to get out there for vacation this year, then I'm okay with that. I just want an outrageous screamer of a deal. So makes no difference to me. And I'll buy something. I actually told Brian, I said, find me the house that hasn't been updated since Miami Vice, or something along those lines, or like when, something like that, something dated, late 80s, early 90s, because then I can go in and I can make it exactly what I want. The construction's fine, but I can go in there, I can remodel it. And I don't want somebody else to remodel it for $300,000 and then expect to get 350 more. I can model it for probably half the price. I'll give my guys a vacation. I'll fly them out there and say, hey, enjoy, have fun for a month out here. And then just work all day long for a month or month and a half and do all the stuff I want to get done. That's my idea anyway. So Bitcoin Man, great question. Still figuring it out, in all honesty. Matt Herbert, good morning, Matt. Good morning. Finally made it back to a Sunday session. Nice to actually have a Sunday off. Good for you. You guys deserve it. I know you guys crank and work hard, and I know you guys are about to go into double digits, so that's pretty awesome. Matt, coming out on closets. I am coming out on closets. Yes, I am. I knew that Rob was going to make a joke like that. I wish I had put money on it. I'd have been like, Rob's going to make a joke on that. I knew he would. Data Hedge Capital. Does your local housing authority allow you to charge per rent? Our housing authority doesn't know. Charge per rent. Per pet. Oh, per pet. Oh, per pet. Yes. Well, they don't have a choice. The lease is what the lease is. So before I give the housing authority a lease, before I would have that conversation with them, usually they're sending people my way. They know that I'm pet friendly, but there is a pet fee. I don't know if housing covers that fee, if that makes sense. I don't know if they cover that fee. But in most cases, I am getting partial rent from the tenant. The Section 8 or at the housing authority doesn't cover 100% of the rent. I'm pretty sure in the one scenario that we have, I'm pretty sure that they pay the rent. They pay the pet fee. Pretty sure. Andrew P., in your digital card review, did you link to the experience? Curious what folks see when they scan. I didn't link to the experience, but here's what they see when they scan. I will show you. All right, here we go. No time like the present to do a fun, non-scheduled funtivity like this. Here we go. Oop. So I have the card in the back of my phone. And so my phone already picked it up. See, gives me the option of which browser to choose. I'm going to choose this one just once. Make sure there's no horrible things on there. All right, I'm just going to scale up so you can't see my. Can't probably see that, but it says exchange contact, save contact. So I can just hit that exchange button. That literally, so normally you just tap it with your card. Mine's already in my phone. So the NFC just picks it up. So I can just tap somebody's phone. And then mine actually says, I'm always buying 2 to 20 unit multifamily properties in the 3 towns that I buy in. I list out those towns, as well as New Hampshire waterfront properties. Whoever brings the deal first, we do the deal with. We also have 115 units in those markets. I need to update that. We can buy cash. We are pre-qualified up to a certain amount. We can close fast, and inspections are optional. Now, then you can put the social networks that are on there. You can put the different email addresses. Those are all the different options that I have on mine. Let me just shut that off. There we go. So yeah, so that's what I can do in mine on my digital card. Curious to see what folks see. Yes, that's what they see when they scan. It depends on the different cards too, what format and how you set it up. I couldn't go into a review on every single card, but they all serve the general purpose, which is not caring about a business card that's just going to get tossed. Having a digital card. There's some cards that I've seen and that I've seen other friends use, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it still gets the point across. I don't love it, but it still gives you the digital card where it still gives you the ability to give somebody their profile. So the only thing from there is there's some of them that as you upgrade them, or if you're using it for your business and you start to kind of take that next level and you're having multiple people carry the card, that's when you start to run into monthly fees. If it were me, I would just be doing something a little bit like I would get a second card and maybe put a different email address on it for another person, or like for Ashley, something like that. That's what I would probably do. Because I don't know that you need all that account connectivity. However, if you do, then that's that's functionality worth paying for. LV, teach me. That is being honest. See, I think so. And hey, at the end of the day, if that upsets the seller or upsets the selling agent, tough. Way it goes. That's business. Tough way it goes. Burn your bank once and let me know how many times they loan to you after that. That's a relationship that I have that I wouldn't feel right going into a deal knowing that there is a significant material defect that will materially affect my financial position that the bank is basing their judgment on. So that guy can pound sand. He's clearly not a big investor and clearly doesn't have relationship with bank. He's probably just a number. That's the difference. I'm not just a number to my bank. We have a relationship. That's a relationship that they expect me to do the right thing by them. I expect them to do the right thing by me. They've gone through the process of making exception in different scenarios when a mistake was made on their part. And I love that. I think that's honorable. And that's why we get along so well. Robert Farinelli, LOL, lying to a bank is a great way to burn a great bridge. Exactly. Wouldn't want to lose a great financing option. Precisely. R. Rosales, good morning. Good morning. R, good morning. Andrew P, I cannot imagine spending time jumping on YouTube to waste time accusing people of things I have little to no context on. We got to do better, fam. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I don't mind people, debating the fact. I had a couple debates this week with some folks that just disagreed on New Hampshire being a strong economy moving forward. I disagree, but he's reading spreadsheets. I live here. I've lived here almost my entire life, and I've been investing in this area for almost 20 years. I know what the towns are planning because I read the notes. I watch some of the town videos. I'm involved. And if you can be that involved, you can become elite in your market. And that's what I like about a smaller market. So I know a lot of the guidance is, at least 1 million people or at least 100,000 people. My 3 towns combined, I started off in a city that was 23,000 at the time. It's only 23,000. But I knew the town. I knew all the inner workings. I knew kind of how things moved. And we wanted to be here. We wanted to be here. We will, I don't believe we'll ever leave here full time. Certainly not from what I believe, but who knows? We never know what the future holds. But yeah, I think that it's, this is somebody that in his eyes, he would probably never do a no inspection deal. And we'll see how he acts if he hides something from the bank that's material, and then still closes the deal. And then the bank finds out. At best, they never do business with you again. At worst, they sue you. Or they try and sell your loans as a bundle to somebody else and say, we don't want this relationship with this lender anymore. That's just not how you do it. I dance with the one who brung me, and that's who my loyalty lies with. And so if the bank says, you know what, you're in a financial position where, yeah, it sucks, but we'll still honor the financing if that's the direction that you want to take, I'd say, yeah, I mean, it's up for negotiation with the client, because I don't know if they hit it. I'm not going to accuse them as such because I don't know that. but now it's something materially different. Way it goes. And that's why financing gets killed. That's why it happens. You don't think that happens on big deals. You don't know what you're talking about. Anna K, good morning. In 3 hours behind. Good morning, Anna. Good to see you. LV, teach me. Hit the like button, please. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Mandy W, hello. Mandy, congratulations. Mandy got her first deal this week. Congratulations. Inheriting some tenants. I know that can be scary, but you have the world's best landlord letter. This I know. So very interested to see how that goes. So definitely report back. I'd love to hear. Keith Hager, that looks like Hawaiian Punch. Cheers. It does look like Hawaiian Punch. Quite frankly, I wish it were Hawaiian Punch, but there is so much sugar in Hawaiian Punch. I'd be screaming past the powers of my voice. So yeah, sugar-free. Jeremy Kirkwood, totally agree with the rental box idea. In the Airbnb market, we have some diminishing returns in the single family home above 4 bedrooms. Okay. Duplexes with garage is best investment return in our market. See, that is awesome to know. That is, and guys, you're not going to know that stuff. Like there's not people that do a good job of that part of the market, like Rental Meter and things like that. A lot of their data is still far behind. Like AirDNA for Airbnb does a pretty good job at that. I'm just not going to ever be a short-term rental guy. I don't want to build the infrastructure needed to do that. If I were starting out fresh, I might consider it, but only if all the numbers work as a long-term rental, and then it's just more profit for a short-term rental. That's what I would consider there. Chris Webb. We're going to talk about some insulation, Chris Webb. Holy cow, I fell behind. Sorry, guys. Bitcoin, this is the greatest country. I totally agree with you, Bitcoin, man. It is totally the greatest country. It's totally the greatest country. We do a lot with tenants from overseas. Yeah, we've had them from all over because we do work with the college. And so Chinese students, Iranian students, Russian students, they all want to be here. They all had said it. They all said they all love America. They love it. They love America. And there's nothing better than an outsider's perspective to really grasp and understand that it is a great, great country. And we need to do better together, but it's a great country. Yep. Keith Hager, our statistical market area is 10 years behind on appreciation with the national median cost. So it is still a seller's market here. Yep. So it's still a seller's market here too. Yep, it is. As you guys saw in the video that I shared on Friday, the realized sales price in the month of May, was 105.3%, meaning that the realized price average for the entire state for the entire month of May was 5% over ask. Think about that. 5% over ask was the average along the entire state for all, I think it was 1,200 transactions or 1,400 transactions. The average was 5%. Think about that. That's unreal. So agreed, it's still a seller's market here. That's why we talk about things being hyper local. Keith Hager, where do you look for an off market for sale by owners? So I look on Craigslist. That's one area that I look. I actually bought one of my best deals on Craigslist. Yep. I found it. I talked to the guy. Somebody else put it under agreement because the guy didn't get my email. Like because I called him up and I said, hey, did you get my email? And he's like, no, I didn't. He goes, I went under agreement with somebody else. I was like, what? Oh, because I found what I thought was a great deal. That guy didn't deliver the deposit check. And so I guess he got cold feet. I swooped in, I got it, and I bought that property so right. I bought that property at, it was a 5 unit. I bought it for $350,000, which was probably $150,000. I mean, it was just delayed maintenance city, but the delayed maintenance city was maybe like 30 grand worth of work. I bought it for 350. It was worth 500 then. It's since appraised for 610, I think. So I crushed it on that deal. Oh, I crushed it on that deal. And again, that was a deal I found on Craigslist. So Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and I drive because my cities aren't that big. I drive through this. I drive through the streets. I do. I like it. A lot of times when we're driving through the city and we're trying to get home, my kids will yell in the back seat, "Daddy, that's not the way home." I was like, "Hun, this is just another way to get home." And so we'll drive different streets to get home just so I can drive through different areas and see if there's anything that's been posted. So I found one or two that way. And that's the thing, like I always talk to you guys about, it's if you're only looking at MLS, that's fine. You can still win deals. You'll still find deals. But if elite is every sort of way, FISBOs, services like PropStream, like what Mike's doing with his stuff, I'm excited for that call, see what he's doing. We've actually got some stuff planned. We've got some stuff planned around that. We were just waiting for the market to kind of soften here because it's still red hot. And the last few mailers that have gotten done were just, the numbers were more than just a little bit nuts. I got offered a deal that was a negative return. He's like, "Yeah, I just think it's a great deal." I was like, "It's a negative 2% return." So, "Well, I think your rate's too high." I was like, "That's the going rate. I just talked to my bank an hour ago. That's the rate." "I think that number's too high." Dude, the difference of making money and not making money isn't the difference of the rate that I got today. It's the difference of the rate that you used to calculate your numbers because you were soft. He used a 4.375 rate to calculate it on a commercial building. No way. And there's some other words that belong in that sentence. REI, hey, RE3, sorry. RE3, good to see you. What's up, Lumberjack? Happy 4th. You guys as well. I'm actually really happy that the 4th wasn't a Sunday because that would have been a tough day to do one. I don't know that I would have done it. I don't know. I'm just weird. I'm super patriotic like that stuff. I like, those are the days for cookouts and family. I think more of those days than I do my birthday. Easy Real. Hey, good morning. Thanks for all the helpful information. You guys are very welcome. RE3, I'm on a call at this hospital whole holiday. I'm on call at this hospital whole holiday weekend. Well, you have a good weekend at the hospital. I'm glad that you're on call and you're not there as a patient. Robert Fairley, yes, there is always a net increase, but the point I was trying to make is that considering that cities are only allowed to increase spending 3% every year, I don't think there will be as many forced elderly seller as you think. I think that generally is true, but there are certainly ways around that for the city. Water, sewer, there's a bunch of ways where you can look at across the board and your costs can increase 8 or 9%. And usually it's not the 1 year, it's the 2 years. So I'm not looking at that as just 1 year. I'm looking at moreover kind of a trend of over the next 3 to 5 years. When the reassessments come out, that will change things. The official reassessments. Water and sewer in my area has gone up about 50% in the last 10 years. So it's one of those, and it's not like you can get off of water and sewer. You have to be on water and sewer. So I think that and the cost of the other things as well. So the cost of inflation and gas and food and all that stuff. But when you add that piece versus, and also adding the piece of those increases, if you're on a fixed income with no pension or small retirement and Social Security, that's going to bounce you. Our taxes are decently high in my area. So I think that's what bounce you. Maybe your towns override the spending cap every year, but I haven't seen Manch do it. Nashua tries to break the spending cap law every year. Yeah, and that's the thing is you can break the cap. It's not impossible. I know that there was one town, I think it was Hampton. They did it for years where they basically enforced a cap. And then 1 year the cap got overwritten and all properties went up like 20% in taxes. So it can happen. It can happen. And I think, like I said, in our area, even not overriding the cap, it's still happening. Thankfully, we have a lot of commercial stuff being built, or commercial residential stuff being built, which that rising tide will lift all boats. So my rents will go higher just because they put something brand new in at $3,000 a month, and I can rent for 1,800. And just because I'm not in a brand new building, but I'm still in a nice building in a neighborhood, I can still get a good percentage of their rent. The difference is I can rent for what I can rent for and still make money. They can't rent for what I rent for, except lose money. So that's what I like the most about it. Matt Herbert, any advice for problem tenants? Yeah, sure. Let's see. She complained about her smoke detector not working, went over and her detector had 2 mounting rings and was hanging from the wires. Okay. I happened to go into the basement and found a smashed smoke with no ring, and basement smoke was missing. Okay. I've had that happen. What I did was I looked up the lease, because we have something in our lease that actually specifically speaks to smoke detectors. I believe it's a felony because it becomes a life safety issue. I cited the lease and I cited the rule, and I said, if this occurs again, this will be terms for eviction. That's what I did in my case. You're in New Hampshire, so you can probably do the same thing. But I cite for me, it's in my lease. But look up the state statute. I'm almost positive that it's a felony to purposefully damage a smoke, and no smoke just breaks, right? But it's inexpensive. I would probably put a new one in both places, because the wire harness is probably still there. I'd probably put a brand new one in there. If it's not an issue again, then the tenant was probably right. It probably was the smoke. If there is an issue again, then it's probably the tenant causing the issue and nothing else. But that's what I would do, is I would put them on warning, especially if you think that that's the case, because I'm almost positive it's a felony. Look it up, double check, but I'm pretty sure it's a felony. Yeah, because the reason that you have those, so the ones in the basement should not only be smoke, they should also be carbon monoxide if you're running oil or gas, or if you're running really anything, where you're piped into a chimney. You should have one in the basement, carbon monoxide and smoke, just for insurance purposes and to keep people safe. We actually had an emergency this week. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I just can't. I can't with some people. Students they didn't put the electricity in their name. It says it in their lease. I even give them the contact information for the electric company. I don't see it because the previous tenant didn't shut it off and didn't notify that they were leaving. So the previous tenant didn't take care of it. The new tenant didn't take care of it. And so nothing happens to us. We don't even see that. He calls, says power's out. I said, call the power company. Calls the power company. Yeah, you don't have service in your name. He says, okay, we want to put service in our name. It says it in a lease. I give them the 800 number to even do it. They have the 800 number, the lease. They can literally, if they ask for proof, they can just send it in. And they put a generator in the house to run their refrigerator. So guess what happened a few hours later? The carbon monoxide started going off. The next door neighbor they weren't home, heard it, and they weren't home. Fire department goes in there. So those guys are going to get a warning, which is you cannot run a generator in a house. Like, what's really funny is they're 5 PhDs. I think that's kind of funny. It strikes me as funny. I'm just an idiot college dropout or high school dropout. But yeah, kind of funny. 5 PhDs. How many PhDs does it take to get a carbon monoxide complaint? 5. Chris Webb, good morning from Central Virginia. Hello, Chris Webb. We're talking about insulation. Yes, sir. I see you're a couple away. Sam Farho. What interest rate does your emergency fund or dry powder give you at the bank nowadays? Oh, I don't even care. Yeah, I don't even care. Don't even care. I want it quickly accessible. I want the bank to see the power that we have, the amount of cash that we can pull from, not just a report from somewhere else. And so I don't even care. That's why they can pay me almost nothing on it. And when we go into a meeting or when we have a conversation, I say, I keep X amount of dollars in the bank and you guys pay me 0.0125 interest, 0.0125 interest. I don't care about the number, don't care what I'm making. It makes the relationship easier because they can rent out, I believe, 10x on my dollars that they have in their bank. That allows them to expand their balance sheet, which is me being helpful to the bank, but also them reducing drastically the number of questions or concerns that they would have when we go to do a deal. So it's not always about hacking and making sure that you're getting the most amount on your money that sits there from an emergency perspective, because you probably don't have that much in the account. Let's say you have 5 grand or 10 grand. Who cares? Who cares? You're better off if it's a local, small local bank that you plan on doing a lot of business with. You're far better off leaving that money. In my opinion, that's what I've done. I've left the money in the account so they can basically lend 10x on it. And then I also don't have to constantly fashion them with accounting statements from other firms or other places saying, see, I'm making 3% here, or I'm making 2.5% here. Yeah, not worth my time. And that's a new thing just recently too, because obviously for the longest time, rates have been garbage. Even in those other products, you know. Robert Fahrenheit, only on the cost, LOL. At least they have a branch in Exeter. They do, but it's fine. Don't plan on keeping my checking account with them, just emergency fund. Yeah, they do. They have a branch in, I think, we have a branch in Exeter, Hampton, Dover, Newburyport. I think they have 6 or 7 branches. Portsmouth. They do. They're good. I've loved working with them. The service has always been tremendous. They've always been able to address any issues that occur. That's the big thing for me. Apparently people don't like bank talk. 10 people just jumped. Come on back. I'm telling you, you're missing out on good stuff. All right. I'm thinking about adding insulation to my attic. Have you done this before? Yes. You want an answer more than that? I'm teasing, Chris. Holy Toledo. Okay. Yes, I will have a video coming out that will take you more in depth on this. But here's what I would tell you. Fiberglass insulation, Roxul, which is literally made from lava. Watch their video. It's ROXUL. It's awesome. Open cell foam, closed cell foam, and blown in cellulose. Okay. Those are basically, largely speaking, those are the 5 most often used options. I will show examples of those products this week, showing you the different products. Suffice to say, don't do blow-in. But I will show you all the details. I expect that video to be out Tuesday. But long story short is closed cell foam is by far the most expensive. It's usually 10x, 7 to 10x the price. However, it will reduce your energy bills probably by 50 or 60% is what I've seen, factually 50 or 60%. But it's 10 times the price. Like I've done a home in closed cell foam and it was $20,000. If I had insulated it, obviously with just laborers, but insulated it with something else like a fiberglass or something like that, it would have been like $3 grand. Yep. And I got a deal at the 20. So my recommendation is, depending on what access you have, my particular feeling is if you're not going to spend the crazy money and do closed cell foam because it's an older home and you're trying to get some structural integrity, which it does. My particular favorite product is Roxul because it's pest retardant, but I'll cover it really in depth in the video, but that's kind of a general. So I would start shopping. If I were in your shoes, I would start shopping for Roxul and I would be looking for their R31 or R38 or R30 or R38, depending on what your code is. because codes are different throughout the country. So you can have they make a R 19, 21, 23, 30, and 38. Those are the different R values that they make. I'll do a full in-depth video where I show you the product because I actually have some. I keep on squishing it like this, like it's in my hand. But I'll show you actual product so you can see it. And yeah, that'll make a big difference because I will, let me tell you this, I will never use blow-in in an attic space ever again. And I will never use fiberglass ever in an attic space ever again. Is he real? Do you have ballparks of reserve funds set aside per property or just continually reserve funds? Say reserve funds until X and then stop and then replenish when necessary. Yeah. So we over time, we've saved. And the other thing too is cash flow too. So we kind of saved, a couple of percentage points, on the different properties as far as like tucking the money away. And then once we get to probably 60 properties, then we just had kind of like a general fund, which was like that had been fed into, but then we didn't increase it, kind of past probably $10,000 or $20,000. And then we kept on going for a little while longer. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is just a bunch of dead money. We need to be using this to do more deals. And so we had gotten to the point, I think we got as high as maybe like 50 grand sitting there. And then I just said, nope, this is ridiculous. And so we got to a certain point where we were making enough, had enough properties, had enough cash flow where we then could do any of our repairs out of cash flow. So we have still some there, but like if a furnace goes or if a roof needs doing, like that can be 10 to 20,000 bucks. So we can do that out of cash flow now. But before, yeah, we would have that. Or if we see that a roof was getting tired, we might make $1,000 worth of repairs to the roof, but we'd be budgeting for a couple years and maybe taking more money out of that bucket to know that we could do the roof when it was time to do the roof. Hopefully that's helpful. There's no hard number there. Dion's spreadsheet does a really good job, but when we got past, like I said, when we got to 50 or 60 units, it made no sense to keep on pulling money out because we do steady maintenance at the properties. We also do upgrades at the properties. I'll go to a roofer and instead of giving them one roof, in fact, I've already done 5 roofs this year. So we're going to spend a total of probably $100,000 on roofs this year because I bundle them. I get a great price with him saying, I'm going to do all these roofs. I do all the roof shingles the same color. We all use Grace Ice and Water Shield, and we, new drip edges around the house. And so when he's going to buy, he's not buying 20 square or 40 square or anything like that. He's buying, 200 square of roofing, 180 square of roofing. You can get it by the pallet at that point. You can drastically reduce your price, which is helpful. And you can actually get a rep because they're not just like, oh yeah, so what? It's a roof, or you're not going to Home Depot. We use I think we use Certainteed shingles is what we use almost exclusively now. So yeah, and we love them. They're a great product. Sam Farho, when you start your rent box, what info do you add to your spreadsheet and how many columns? And how do you track that for a month? So I had a separate, you can add it, but I had a separate one. I don't do it anymore physically because I know the areas and I'm watching when we go to post something. I watch and see what's on the market kind of right then and there to see what we're competing against. And so the categories that I added were grading it. In fact, I think I showed a rent box. I think I showed one. Yeah, we showed one. I showed one. I'll Sam, email me. I think I emailed you something already, but email me and I'll send you the one that I had. It was only like 5 or 6. LV Teach Me. Miami Vice was the show to watch. I know. Don Johnson and Tubbs. Yeah, it was good. Well, I I only get to watch out of reruns. I just like the white Ferrari. The white Ferrari Testarossa. I'm a car guy. Sam Farho, how do you know what a property was rented actually for? I called them. Yep, I called. It may be different, but it's usually not. People very, very, very go down, very rarely go down in their rents, especially in these markets. But I would send them an email and just say, hey, I was interested if this unit was still available. And if it's not, what it rented for. Simple email. A lot of times they'll get back to you. So you can just do it with an email. Do you choose properties with public transportation? I don't, well, sort of. So that's only a determining factor if there is a parking issue there, because then I know people will largely depend on public transportation. So hopefully that answers that question. Tom Kine, do video deep dive on Rentbox and all the accessories and etc. Yep, we can look for. So there is the one that I did with Mike. I took him through my Rentbox. Guys, watch that one and let me know what you think. Leave me notes in there of the things that you want me to add. Because like I said, I don't even manage my spreadsheet like that anymore. I just don't need to. I know my market cold. And I have enough friends that have stuff in those same neighborhoods, and I know the quality by which they rent. And I'm looking for the big move. I'm looking for the 10% move, not the 2% move, if that makes sense. The better way to help on that stuff too is just understand what your towns do, what the town you're investing in is doing. That's one way that helps you too. Robert Farinelli, NH Waterfront. That's tricky. Only 15 miles of that. I think it's 17, but yeah. All the single family on the water are super expensive, relatively speaking. But I'll buy one. Yep. I looked at one this week. It was 3.2 million. I was so close. Could have had a deal. Wasn't close. Wasn't close. Wasn't going to work. I saw very low interest from Section 8 tenants for my property, as you have to rely on a car. Yep, that can be the case. That can be the case for sure. Sam Farho, I see less meetup events now compared to pre-COVID, also different players than before. What do you see in your market? So we just came off of lockdown from Eliana being going through treatment. So I have not been to one yet. I plan on doing that probably in August. I'll probably go to an event. But yeah, not till then. Robert Farinelli, NH economy slowing down. LOL, people from Mass, Vermont, and Maine will always shop here no matter what happens to the economy. Yeah, true story, because we're no sales tax. That's why we have our liquor stores and our tattoo parlors right on the border. If you wonder how you can tell if you went in from Mass into New Hampshire, you'll see a lot of retail. You'll see liquor stores because New Hampshire has state-run liquor stores, and you'll see a bunch of tattoo parlors, and you'll also see furniture and appliance stores just over the border. Not so many car dealerships anymore because now Massachusetts gets you when you register, not just when you buy. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Dion talk. Every time you hit the like button, an angel gets its wings. That's true. That's actually true. Dion, my good buddy. That walkthrough, I watched his walkthrough of the video. Or the video of the walkthrough of his place. And I thought it was so funny. I'm laughing because I actually have units that I've never walked before. Having bought property with Eliana going through treatment, we bought a decent amount of property. So I have 15 and only being off of quarantine now for 2 or 3 weeks. I have 20 units I've never been in, about 20 units I've never been in. So we'll see. I'm excited to go to them though. Curious what your thoughts are with beach houses and condos. I want to buy one. I would sell my house now and move to the beach. We looked at the beach probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago in 2012, we looked at the beach. We were going to do it. And then when I ran the numbers and when I talked to some of the banks that I work with, they all said it's going to drastically hamper your ability to buy additional properties. And I said, well, what's that mean? They said, we're going to require a big down payment because you're going to have a massive house payment. And so when we walked through a lot of that stuff, I chose to put it on hold. I said, we need to spend the next 10 years building the business, denying ourselves the waterfront home. We need to spend the next 10 years building the business, denying ourselves the waterfront home, and buy the waterfront home when it doesn't impact the business at all. And I'm glad we did it that way. We'll get the right house. We looked at one, like I said, it was 3.2 million. I didn't love it. I kept on saying to the broker, love that. I was pointing to the ocean, hate this. And the problem is that it was just, there was too much about the house that if I'm going to spend that kind of money, it's got to be different. It's just got to be different. Yeah. Condos. I have friends with condos on the water. The one thing to watch out for is the quality and the material that they use to build them. I was in a condo on the water. I was loving the place. I was up like 80 or 90,000 bucks in value in the course of 3 years. Then I got hit with a special assessment for $70,000 because they had to reskin the building and redo all the railings and all this other crazy stuff because the builder, who's now bankrupt, used the wrong material and material that was not supposed to be used within 5 miles of the ocean because it was more porous. And so the salt air can get in there and rip it apart. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of condos. Now I'm a little bit, tainted by that experience, but generally speaking, condos on the water, I don't like HOAs. I don't like any of that stuff. I do not play well with others when it comes to that stuff because there's always one idiot in the group. And for me, it's just a hard pass. And even if it's just a board of people that don't have enough to do that sit on those boards, they're just a nightmare. So I choose not to play. Millennial Mike, absolutely the greatest country. Thank you. I agree with you, Mike. I agree with you. High school dropout like Matt and a child of an immigrant plus drug dealer me can both become millionaires as young as we are. Where else but America? It's exactly right. You're not hearing stories like that from Kazakhstan. You just aren't. You aren't. It doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't. And so this is why people risk their lives to come to our country. It's because it is that great. It's just that great. It just is. Andrew P, love the demo. Thanks. Okay, you're welcome. Do you get click-through rate or page views? Yeah. Like, are you getting traffic to the card? I get, yes, a little bit. Yep, thinking out lane for brainstorming, but I'll look into it. Thank you. Yeah, I think for my card or for the actual card itself, I'm not sure. Maybe. I have to check on that. That's a good question. I don't know. Don't know at this point. I'll have to get back to you. Karen Molnar, happy 4th to you and your family. Thank you, Karen. Thanks for being here. A true American. Yeah, I love this country. I love it. And most in my family fought for it. My grandpa, who was a Russian immigrant or a Ukrainian immigrant, we have to make the delineation now. He's a Ukrainian immigrant. Family was from Odessa on the ocean there in Ukraine. They made the decision in 1918 to come to our country. And he was actually born on the way over in Romania when they had to stop for a bit. Then they made it the rest of the way. They came over and they left all of their possessions behind and in order to come to America. And it wasn't quite as easy to get here now as it was. It wasn't quite as hard to get here now as it was then. It's a little bit harder. So yeah, I'm grateful that that's actually who my son is named after. So my great grandpa is Samuel, and my grandpa is Alex, and so Samuel's name is Samuel Alexander. That's why he is named that, is he's named after Samuel, my great grandfather, and Alexander, my grandfather. And Alexander, my grandfather, served in the military for America, as did my dad and a bunch of my uncles and things like that. So yeah, Grateful for their service and for everyone else's service that give us a great country. And it's been a fun week teasing all of my British friends. Every single time they send me something, I say, I will not listen to this tyranny. It's pretty fun. They're like, shut up with that. And I was like, you're just mad because you lost, bro. It's pretty funny. Tom Kind, short-term rental idea for you. Survive the winter in NH, naked and afraid. Yeah, it gets really cold here in the wintertime. Yeah, it's for sure. That's honestly a big part of why long-term rentals, because no one wants to choose to be here in the wintertime. It's so cold. You got to be here the rest of the year to put up with the 4 months. Honestly, blessings. Honestly, hey, blessings for the family and a like for the channel on this sunny Sunday. Thank you very much, Honest. I appreciate that. And yeah, family's doing great. Hope the same for you and yours as well. Robert Fairnelly, oh yeah, Eversource going from 0.10 to 0.22 per kilowatt hour for production is going to hurt elderly. Yeah, it's going to crush them. It doubles their bill. It doubles the bill. It's more than double. Like, that's why I think, and so I don't think it's only the increase in taxes for the elderly that's going to crush it. I think it's everything. It's generally the 8, 9, 10% inflation we're experiencing, but now the electric company's jumping into, and I'm not against the electric company. They have to make money or they go out of business. They have to make money or they go out of business. And most people don't know, but a majority of New Hampshire's power is actually nuclear. And that's why they were able to wait so long. But a majority of ours is nuclear. Jernil Diaz, good morning. Good morning, sir. How do you qualify to be a real estate professional and what are the benefits? Oh, Jernil, that's a long question. You might not know it, but it's a super long question. So you can find really good videos on it. I'm going to do one with my new accountant on it because it's something that we qualified for last year. So it's not getting a degree or getting a license or any of those things. It is, you don't want to have a W-2 job because there's a bunch of other rules around it. But it's as a real estate professional, it's that you spend 750 hours a year working in real estate. And that can be managing your properties. There's a big long list of all the things that are covered as becoming a real estate professional. But it's 750 hours is the breakdown. I think it's 14 or 17 hours. No, I think it's 14 hours a week. So it's like 14 hours a week, I believe. And Ashley easily qualifies. Yeah, she easily qualifies because, group texts on text messages where she sends out the answer or calls the repairman or sends the maintenance guy or talks to a tenant or writes up a lease or, a lot of it's kind of the back office billing stuff. That's a majority of the time. Just because we've got, 117 units worth and 400 tenants. And a lot of those tenants are young professionals. So they don't pay their rent in a lump sum of $3,000. I get 4 different payments for $750 each. So it takes a little bit more time to manage from that perspective. But that's what a real estate professional is. And then we do something called cost segregation and bonus depreciation. Now, I believe that 2022 is the last year that some of that stuff is going to be allowed, but I got an absolutely massive return last year because of cost segregation and bonus depreciation that we did on the biggest property that we acquired. So Bob Langworthy is my accountant. He's actually was one of Mike's guests. I was doing a bunch of research and I Googled him or I YouTubed him and he came up, but then he came up with Mike and I was like, Mike, you know Bob Langworthy? And he's like, yeah. And so Bob Langworthy is actually out of Maine, which is the state next door to me. But I cannot say enough great things about Bob. He was absolutely spectacular to work with. His entire office staff is amazing. I loved working with him. That was the best accounting experience that I've ever had. He's not a CPA. He's called an EA, which is a totally different ball game. They actually have to test annually on IRS rules and regulations. And if they don't pass the test, then they get their EA designation taken away. Like guys, that's legit. Like you're going to be dialed in, right? So anyway, EA, Bob Langworthy, Main Bean Counters, I think is the name of his company, Main Bean Counters. So awesome. So awesome. But yeah, real estate professional, that's kind of the general gist, but there are videos out there that are about 10 minutes long. The best explanation of it is Mark Kohler, Kohler, Mark Kohler. The only thing I don't like about Mark Kohler is that he takes the LLC thing to like a billionth degree. And I get that, but I just see that as becoming like a full-time job, like which account something needs to come out of and how it needs to be handled. I much prefer the setup that we have that is very manageable and takes care of the big building block steps of how I protect my family. Pallavi Patel. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Pallavi. That dude in 702. Ooh, you in Vegas? Hi, Matt. I'm in Vegas currently. Aha, see? 702. I have 9 single family rentals here. Cool. I was listening to one of your videos when you mentioned you were interested in investing here. I am. What do you like about Vegas real estate? That is a great question. So I don't know what I like about Vegas real estate as much as I know that I want to live there. So I want to live there part-time. What will happen after I live there part-time, and I've already warned Brian of this, I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to sit still. So I'm definitely going to invest in Vegas real estate. I haven't gotten there yet because it's a very different market. That's a much larger market than I'm used to. And I still don't love single family home investing for the whole myriad of reasons I've laid out in my channel before. I really like duplexes, tris, and quads. That's really where I love spend my time. But I have to learn the market out there to see what is going to give me the return on my capital that I want, but also not be crazy money where it's like you're spending $1.5 million to buy something in like Summerlin, as an example. So I'm looking in the Summerlin market or Desert Shores for myself. And then I have to figure out where we start going from there as far as other housing in those areas. So that dude in 702, thanks for commenting. Yeah, not ready to invest there yet. More looking to buy there for a place to live. LV, teach me. OMG, generator inside the house. They want someone to die, right? Honest to goodness. Robert Farinelli, I am assuming that was a gas generator and not a solar one like I have running the fridge off of. Yes, it was a gas generated one. Yep. Keith Hager, PhD. Poor, helpless, and delusional. I don't know about that. Different. Definitely different. If I needed to sit down, so these 5 PhDs, I think that they all have their degrees. I believe they're all PhDs in biology or maybe marine biology or something like that. I thought biology was in there. But yes. Yeah. It's kind of a little, it was hard not to yell. It was hard not to yell because they put people in danger and they were being selfish because their electricity was being turned on the next day. And it was 100% their fault that they didn't have electricity. So yeah, kind of annoying. Chris Webb, excellent. Thanks. You're welcome. Tom Kine, when removing insulation because of mold remediation, get a permit. Oopsie. At least my attorney removed my tenant. Yeah, I think so. I don't pull a permit when removing insulation, and a lot of times over the stuff that's there, like you can actually hire a company to come and just vacuum it all out if you have the cellulosic in there or the spray, or not the spray, the blow-in. You can actually have a truck come and hire and they'll vacuum it all out for you, and then you can see if you have any issues, roof issues. But yeah, I don't like that, any of that stuff on the roof, and I'll cover all the reasons why. I've had bad experiences with it, so I'll show you that stuff. My kids are clearly having a lot of fun out there. I'm not sure if you can hear the shouting, but they're giggling their heads off. Andrew P, 5 PhDs. Yeah, no joke. Yeah, 5 PhDs. I felt exactly the same way. It's like 5 of you thought this was a good idea. Easy Real. Thanks. That was super helpful. You're very welcome. Evolve Properties, Lambo update. Guys, I'm conflicted. I got to be honest. Um, Corvette Club. So I took my kids out to one of our favorite breakfast places. Corvette Club pulls in, and there's 2 or 3 guys. There were 3 brand new Corvettes, but 2 of them were the brand new rear engine Corvette. That is a gorgeous car. I saw one a few weeks ago. I think I even sat in one now that I'm trying to think of it. I just can't remember if the one that I sat in was a front engine or a rear engine. But man, that thing is like sitting in a cockpit of like a jet engine. Oh, so I'm trying to stay true to the Lambo dream. But dang, that car is awesome. So yeah, if the economy blows up, stocks are down 50%, crypto continues to struggle, and people start liquidating their Lamborghinis, yeah, yep, I'm there. I just need a good deal. Buddy of mine got an amazing deal on an Aston Martin, bought the thing like 70% of book price because the guy needed cash. So he literally wrote a check for it. And the car is awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Anthony Russell, Matt, 2 things. You should write a book outlining your views on systems, processes, etc., for operating real estate investment business. And do you have any thoughts on best NAICS codes for real estate? So I do have a book in process. I do have a book in process. I actually have a course in process too. So I will write a book on that. So yes, so I will have a book on that. It's a little bit my story, but intertwined within my story is all the things I had to learn to do to manage the business or to handle the business. They don't cover accounting in the 8th grade. So I just kind of figure things out and lean on people that are gifted and skilled at that, which is I don't have to be amazing at everything, but I have to make sure that I find people that are amazing at what they do, which allows me to remain amazing and elite at the things that I'm elite at. So, and do you have any thoughts on the best NAICS codes? Is that like that's North American Industry Classification System? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was familiar with the term, but not exactly how it was used. I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. Don't have any of those best ones. Nope. Sorry, on NAICS codes. Good question though. Robert Farinelli, which dehumidifier brand do you like the best? Same as appliances? Yes. Yes. Yeah. GE was good. I'd have to check. We have 2 or 3. I have to check and see what those are. There was one that we actually got. I think it was an LG, and it was actually halfway decent. Oh, real quick. I gotta hold on. Yeah, I had a 10-year-old $2,400 LG fridge die this week. 10 years old, $2,400. So I'm spending $240 a year for a fridge. No, no, nope, garbage. Garbage. Sam Farho, is the digital business card a one-time payment or monthly? They have both versions. So that's why if you look in the video that I posted, there are ones that are a one-time fee. Then there are ones that are a one-time fee and have a subscription cost. And then there are ones that have a one-time fee for like a basic plan. And then if you want to upgrade it, it has then a subscription cost. So I included all of them there because I can see value in all of the different options. And for me, the most important value is having a digital business card. So it's as simple as tapping a phone and you get what you need, or you give your information. That's what's most important to me. The rest of it is really kind of, this is where you can fine tune it, make it about you, and get exactly the things that are the most exciting for you guys. Keith Hager, LOL at Tom Kine. Yeah, I know, right? Happy 4th, Matt. Nice shirt. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate that. Yep. That is not a self-portrait because there is no horse that would want me on their back. LV, teach me. Thank you for the family update. You're welcome. Yeah, glad to hear the good news. I know, I'm very excited. My kids are doing great, all 3 of them, and behaving well in restaurants, behaving well when we go out, and the real estating is crushing. If you guys want to see what the awesome thing was last week, or what it was this weekend, excuse me. If you want to see what the awesome find was this weekend, it is on my Instagram account. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was just like, I cannot believe I just got that. It is awesome. Yeah, it was very cool. No code on. When you buy in Vegas, are you going to live in an H during the summer and Vegas in the winter? Yes. Arizona calls these people snowbirds. Yes. I don't know if that is universal or not throughout our great country. So it is snowbirds. So largely New Hampshire, for a lot of its older population, I wouldn't say elderly, I will say older. A lot of retirees, a lot of people that want to retire or have the ability to have some flexibility. A majority of them go to Florida. Some go to Arizona, and now more are going to Las Vegas. For me, I don't like Florida. It's just way too muggy there in the places that I've been, and too congested. Just not a thing for me. I like Vegas. I love Vegas. We are an entertaining household, so we like having friends come and visit us and things like that. And in Florida, it's Florida. Great place, lots of cool stuff. But in Vegas, every band plays Vegas. There's a million amazing award-winning restaurants, which Ashley and I love to go out for a quiet dinner to the 2 of us and talk and hang out. We actually still like hanging out with each other and spending time with each other. And shows. Ashley loves shows, and a lot of people have never been to shows. And Vegas has a hockey team, so I'll be within 20 minutes of a hockey team. In fact, I have a Vegas Knights hat. I bought it when they first came into the market because I wanted to be a Vegas fan from day one. And now they have our coach, Bruce Cassidy, who is going to bring a cup to Las Vegas. He's going to bring a cup there. I'm a diehard Bruins fan, but they're Western Conference, so it kind of doesn't count. It'll be hard if they ever make it to the finals, but based on how the Bruins organization is being run right now, that's not going to be a problem. So they are called snowbirds here too, but yeah, they do here to Florida and here to Phoenix and here to Vegas. There's a little bit of North Carolina, South Carolina, but that's like very small single digits. That's what we see the most anyway. Robert Fairdaly, we are 40% natural gas and 30% nuclear. I think I am switching to direct energy from my supplier to only play 0.12 per kilowatt, locking in 30 meter zero cancellation. That was the source breakdown in the contract. Nice. So we are off of the grid that runs all the way to Florida. We actually also get hydropower from Canada. We do. Pretty cool. But yeah, not 40% natural as far as where we create our power from. And certainly not on the seacoast. Sammy Farho, I'm an immigrant, came here at 28. Sorry, gotta scroll down so I can see the rest of your question. I'm an immigrant, came here at 28 years old, also from Iraq, with 10K of life savings. Well appears that 10K is nothing here. Love the USA. Sam, you're exactly the person that I want coming to our country. You know that you can make a better life here. You know that you're going to have to work hard. You show up and you work hard and you sacrifice and you push. And I will get behind anybody from any country that is coming here to do that, because they're a part of what we do here in America. I'm a part of it. I'm only second generation here, so I might not look it, but I am. And so I appreciate you and the hard work and sacrifice I know you've made. And yeah, that's what makes our country great. That it is. Robert Fairnelly, yeah, don't know how much my upstairs tenant I'm evicting is going to make it, but the eviction is rental assistance fault for not paying me. I was owed June 1st. Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, that's brutal. Chris Christensen. Hi, Christopher Christensen. Good afternoon, Matt. I know you'll get this question a lot, but I wanted to ask it for particular circumstances. Okay. I'm buying a house and moving to the Ozarks at the end of the month. Congratulations, Chris or Christopher. I'll have about 500K left over. Oh my goodness. What do you recommend I do to make 50K a year safely? Ooh, I don't have an income right now. So I'm not an investment advisor. For me, I never, ever, ever, ever had $500,000 ever. The only time I ever had that much money was after I did a massive refi. And that was literally the first time I had ever had $500,000 ever in my account. And so I wouldn't know where to steer you. But I can tell you, so my story specifically is I built something from very, very small, and I continued to build it. And so I don't know that I don't have the right answer for you, Christopher. I wish I did. But I just don't think it's that easy. I think it's really hard. And so it really depends on what you're willing to do with the time that you have. But for me, I did it in real estate, but built it over time. And so in the very beginning, I've been doing this for 20 years. The hardest thing for me was saving up the deposit for the next building. And that's why I did a lot of owner occupied house hacking. That's why I did a lot of that, was because if I bought a duplex or a triplex or a quadplex, then when I moved in and I lived there for a year, I had other people paying the rent, but I was also able to save money on paying for my house. So I delayed getting a single family home until I was about 40 years old, that I was just living in by myself. So I was 40 before I was living in a house by myself or with my wife, or us by ourselves. So I don't know the answer to your question, Christopher. I really appreciate that you would ask. But the only way that I know how to build wealth is through long-term real estate holdings. And I don't think there's a fast way to do it. I would tell you that if real estate does interest you and you think that that's a direction that you want to go, you can start off really inexpensively with a $15 book called One Rental at a Time from Mike Zuber. You can watch his channel every single day. He has a ton of data that he puts out there. I put a decent amount out there, but Mike is really focused on having created a system for never investors, people that have never invested before. He's really created a system that allows them to, that's why I like working with Mike, is because he essentially systemized what he did, what I did, what a lot of investors like us did kind of over time. So if I had that much money, I would want to spend some money first. I would want to invest some money first in learning how to invest it. So if it were me, I would probably buy his book at $15. If that sounds interesting to you, I would then probably spend a few $100 and buy his course. I think it's $300 and buy his course and go through all of it. It's better to spend 80 hours learning a bunch of things and figuring out that you hate it and you don't want to do it, or figuring out, oh my gosh, this is a new passion. I love it. And this is how I want to protect my nest egg for the rest of my life. So that's the best answer I can give you, Christopher. Hopefully that's helpful. Do not stake a Vegas gambler and do not buy picks. I wouldn't do those two things with that money. Chester Williams, NAICS, North American Industry Classification System. Yep. Use real estate investor and property management. Very good. Yep. Great. I love it. Codes are a way to quickly identify businesses based on what it does by a 5 or 6 digit code. Yep. Yeah, so I know it's really funny. So I'd known that, but I didn't have I couldn't remember exactly the correlation, but yeah, it's that big, huge registry. Yes. Where based on what their code is, that's what they do. Yes. Mhm. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. If I weren't so far behind on questions, that would have been more helpful. My wish car has always been a Corvette. Yeah, so I've had a Corvette. I've had a couple, 70s and 80s. Dion's had a Corvette. But the new one is just a different, it's just a different game. Like that car is on par with the Italian supercars. That car is on par. I had a Dodge Viper too. I had a Hennessy Viper. That was a lot of fun. I love that car. Love that car. Christopher Christensen. I'm in Vegas also. Cool. You really want to check out the water levels of Lake Mead. So yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And the feds are about to step in if they don't have something planned before August 1st. Yes. So I've seen all of that. I have been watching Lake Mead. Thank you very much for that warning. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on down there. I think that my understanding of Lake Mead is something like 80% of it, 80% is used for agriculture. And I could be wrong, 75 or 80% is used for agriculture is my understanding. I don't live there. I don't live it. I've only read things. So I don't know what's true and what's not. But yeah, it's concerning. Everybody that I've asked, that I have some friends out there, they've certainly mentioned it and they've just said, if the state doesn't get it right, then the feds will. And I was like, that's pretty scary. So yeah, I will be watching. So I'm not buying anything before August 1st. And I'm letting kind of things play out there. My hope is to buy kind of depending on the market in December or January. So I'm 6 months away from having to make a decision. So yeah, hopefully that, but thank you for that. Yes. Anthony Russell. Thanks, Matt. Looking forward to the book and the course. Me too. I'm really looking forward to finishing the book. I had written a good portion of it. I had an amazing writer, writer/editor that I was working with. She was just amazing. She was so good. And for personal reasons, she had to step away. And so I'm really hoping that she would like to do it again. I really feel like she was a big part of what we were doing, but it's up to her. So I met her on a plane. She was amazing. I met her on a plane, hung out with her for the 4-hour flight. We stayed in contact after that. She told me what she did. And so I was like, I'm going to write a book someday. And that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, for life and things like that, it was kind of tough. LV Teach Me, snowbirds. Yep. Michigan to Florida. Yeah. In the wintertime. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. It's a lot of these northern states to Florida. Yeah. Anthony Russell at LV Teach Me. Thanks. Have you had any pushback from banks with regard to loans? LV Teach Me. The term snowbirds are used whenever seniors whom have the financial means travel from cold climate to milder temps in the winter. Yep. Sell them my house northwest of Phoenix so I can go buy a house in Belize. That's awesome. LV Teach Me at Anthony Russell. I have not sought loans from a bank for investment property. I've had success with seller financing. Yeah, that's awesome. Apologies for the typo in your name in my previous post. Yeah, no worries. LV Teach Me is awesome. Anthony Russell, after the new year, I do plan to seek bank financing for investment property. Yeah. I'd be starting that work now. I'm just saying things are going to shift. Seller finance would be a primo strategy during the downturn. Yeah, seller financing is going to be big during the. Here's the thing: it's got to be an arrow in your quiver. It can't be your whole quiver, guys. It's got to be an arrow in your quiver. You guys cannot be depending only on seller financing because there's a lot of people. If we're in like a deep recession, there's a lot of people that are going to be like, "Why should I trust that you can pay?" Right? So I get it. I'm all for seller financing. It's got to be one of the arrows in the quiver. It can't be the whole quiver. Anthony Russell, I do believe seller financing options will expand as the downturn grows. See, I think that they will expand generally speaking, but I don't think they're going to go up at the rate everybody else thinks they're going to go up. And there's also going to be 10 people or 20 people for every one deal that used to be seller financing that now isn't. just because that's the way the market's going. Like everybody's teaching seller-based financing, like everybody. Pace Morby charges $10,000 for his course for seller financing. Yeah. Keith Hager, I'm retiring to my rentals on August 29th, 2022. Good for you. Best books: Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, One Rental at a Time, See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. Oh, cool. Thanks for the book recommendations. That's awesome. I don't read, so I can read, but I don't read. I read periodicals. But those are all good. Those are all good books. Oh, I finally caught up. Better Home Rental. Thank you all, and have a great 4th of July weekend. Thank you, Better Home for Rental. You too. Anthony Russell, LV Teach Me. Nice. Are you in the Midwest? Anthony Russell, Detroit. LV Teach Me. That's right. I forgot you were in Detroit. You have no idea how tempted I was to go into the land bank and start buying streets at a time and then redoing them. I was so close. Oh, I was so close. LV Teach Me. LV Teach Me. This is a big question, but what do you think I'm kind of scared to ask it. I'll be honest. What do you think the biggest reason Detroit's in the situation that it is? Be interested in your thoughts since you live there. Abdul Mateen Sadef. What's up, brother? Love the live streams and congrats on the feature. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yep. Appreciate that. Back at you. I like the live streams too. Like hanging out with you guys. Anthony Russell, LV Teach Me. When you said flat, that was the tip off. Detroit has some of the most beautiful architecture in this country. It does. It does. It has some amazing, amazing homes. Yep. Totally agree with you. What is it? Point. Is it Grosse Point? Is it Grosse Point, Michigan, where all the athletes live? There's one place over there. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I wanted to buy a bunch of stuff from their land banks. Oh my goodness. I was getting giddy. I was like, I think I'm going to buy entire streets, because you could literally buy homes for $1, for $2,000 or $3,000, for $5,000. And then I wanted to put together massive construction crews and put people that were out of work into work. Like, yeah. Corruption of the officials is the primary reason for Detroit's economic issues. Yeah, that's what I thought. I agree with you. Man, it's a bummer. Such a bummer. Grosse Point. Yeah, GP. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's where all the really expensive houses are. Yeah. It's jobs. Yeah, it's jobs is certainly it too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's jobs. I think the thing is, though, is it's like Detroit could be a great city again. The problem is the politicians just don't get out of the way there. They just don't get out of the way. Chester Williams, here's an interesting one. Zuber told us about what he suspects may happen to his buy box after July 20 once NAR releases existing data. 2 questions. What do you think your buy box is going to do? Yep. Yeah. So I think I saw, did I see that video? Yeah. I think he said his would double. And then I think he said it would triple, I think is what he said. I think that, I don't think so, because he's always looking at single family and I'm never looking at single family. It doesn't cash flow here. That's why we don't have a lot of single family speculators here. That was one of the arguments I was having, a constructive argument, just general discourse about the market here. Somebody was like, yeah, there's a lot of speculators in New Hampshire. I was like, you're wrong. You're wrong. There aren't, because if it's a second home, it's a second home, but it's a second home that somebody can afford, or it's renting out and it's cash flowing. And the only way to cash flow on a single family here in most of the state is if you put like 40% down or 30% down, and people don't do that. So there's just not a lot of speculation here in New Hampshire. There just isn't. It's because single family home price tags not only are expensive, but the taxes with them. To give you an idea, a brand new 1,500 in my area, a brand new 1,500 square foot house, brand new construction, is $750,000. And the tax bill on that is 15 grand. 1,500 square feet, 750K, $15,000 tax bill. Who can speculate on that? Who's going to rent out a 3-bed, 2-bath at $6,000 a month, $5,000 a month? Not going to do it. Not going to do it. For 1,500 square feet, not going to do it. Yeah. LV, teach me. Lumberjack landlord, agree. Can't solely rely on seller financing. Yep, but it was my strategy to get started in rental property purchasing. I love it. Yeah, now time for mixed strategy. Yeah, diversification, LV, teach me. You're exactly right. It's diversification. It's having as many arrows in the quiver as you possibly can. For those of you who don't know, the quiver is what actually holds your arrows. But it's having as many arrows as you possibly can. That is absolutely 100% the goal every single time, without a doubt. Totally with you. Sam Farho, hit the like button. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Yep, we always appreciate thumbs up. LV, teach me. Corruption of officials, yep, is the primary reason for Detroit economic issues. It is a big part of it for sure. It is. It is certainly a big part of it. Certainly jobs is a part of it, but I think jobs is partially the issue of the politicians there. Yep. Yep. Yes. Let's see. Better home. I grew up in Detroit and it's had a legacy of problems since the 60s and 70s. It really has. Yeah, totally agree with you. Yep, totally agree with you. But I mean, it's really bad. Like literally, when I looked at some of those surveys and such, like Google Map and Google Earth and things like that, like there are some areas where there's 3 houses on the street and then the other 14 are dilapidated and awful. And so, yeah, it was just, I just think it's, but to be able to go in there and train people and give them hope and, you know, give them a job that they can show up to. It was just gonna, it just couldn't, it wasn't something that could be done from afar. And so it meant completely changing everything with my family to do that. And for me, it wasn't worth the money, even though I think that it's an awesome opportunity for somebody like me, just not me. Abdul Mateen, I'm in mid-Michigan. Oh, cool. Very cool. Gross Point. Yep. It's jobs. Yep. A certain part of it. Chester Williams, for Detroit, manufacturing being the sole economic driver serves as a canary in the coal mine for other cities who don't diversify their economic base. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure, for sure. Yep. Abdul Mateen Sadef, since the automotive industry has left it, messed us up. Certainly part of it. Yep. Anthony Russell, Matt, completely agree with you and LV teach me about OWC being a big, being a piece of a larger investment strategy. Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's everything. It's anything that you can get, you know, seller financing or a bank, or like Mike's doing 50-40-10, you know, with Stephen Dow. You know, all of those things are amazing options. You know, I think it's a matter of just being versed in all of them. So that way, when you're in a deal, you know, so I was in a deal this last week and we went back and forth for 5 or 6 days. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, we went back and forth for 5 or 6 days. And in going back and forth for 5 or 6 days, we just got to the point where it's just like, we're just not going to be able to put a deal together. So that's what we did. We weren't able to put a deal together. And I just said to him, I said, I really respect you. I really liked working with you. I wish we could put a deal together, but I think we're just too far apart. But please consider me when you decide to sell the rest of your stuff. The problem is he didn't have to sell. He wanted to, and he didn't even want to that badly, because based on the price that he gave me, I said, the rate doesn't make sense with that number. I just can't make the math work. I want to do the deal. I want the property. I like the property. But if I buy a property that I like, that doesn't make sense financially, then the bank is going to look at me and go, why that one? And why at that number? So, yeah. And he didn't want to sell or finance it. I was like, well, sell or finance it then. He's like, no, I'm trying to do something big and I need the cash. Okay. So we'll see. Tyler LaBelle. Hi, Tyler. Would you agree in short-term prices might come down, but shortly after the Fed will break something in the system, causing them to have to defend the dollar by choosing inflation over banking system collapse? Wow, that's a lot. I think that they're going to do a version of I think that they're going to do a version of Paul Volcker. It's just a guess, guys. I'm not an economist. But I believe they're going to do more of a version of Paul Volcker. I think that we're going to go into recession. I think it's going to be deeper. I think it's going to be longer. I think it's going to be more painful. They have to break the back of inflation. And the only way to do that is to get real rates above the inflation rate, which means 10%, 9%. If you believe that CPI is 8.6 or 8.2. And so I don't know if we get there, but I think that they are going to keep on that path. I wouldn't be shocked if we got 100 basis point. They have to not care about Wall Street. They have to not care about Wall Street. And I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, Wall Street's bad. All Wall Street isn't bad. A lot of those products that they create help people on the front end buy into things that they couldn't buy into before because the bar was too high. The problem is that the companies like Affirm and the companies like SoFi, I'm very interested to see how they perform in these markets because I think they're going to have a lot of people DQ and not pay. And they can't have, I think the number is they can't have more than 8% or 9% of their loans go bad. And I think that my understanding is I think they were at 3 or 4 already. And it hasn't even gotten really super hard or bad yet. So yeah, so we'll see. Let's see. Flash of light. Do you see more talk of general tech layoffs outside of crypto fintech from viewpoint of at the day job? No, not so far. Not so far. I think companies are getting ready. I think if you're in a redundant position or if you're launching a new product or if you're in a struggling company that has product lines that aren't particularly doing well, that's probably the time that they start to jettison a lot more people and just do it on skeleton staff. Yeah, outside of crypto, yeah, like crypto's complete wild card. Yeah, and fintech, yeah. There's a lot of companies that got really big valuations because money was free. And so I know of a couple of them that are in my industry that are on round G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7th round of funding. That's going to be a down round. And so we'll see how bad of a down round it is. What was it? Instacart? Instacart went from a $36 billion valuation to a $24 billion valuation on the last down round. I think that there's going to be plenty of companies that are going to down round. Yep, I do. Which sucks because that means that people that have been there for 5, 6, 7 years, that they're going to instantly, with the signing of a pen, have the valuation of their company cut, 33%. That hurts. That takes a lot of those RSUs, restricted stock options. Yeah, I feel it's going to get rough. It's going to get rough for sure. Tyler LaBelle, my thing is when everyone is in consensus, the opposite usually happens. Okay. Currently, everyone and their brother thinks housing is going to collapse. So then makes me think it won't happen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think so, Tyler. I think that that's not wrong. Um, yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong. I think that everybody's calling for a crash because they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't done the math. Um, I absolutely believe there's going to be a correction, which means less than 20%. I think it's going to be more than 10, less than 20. I think it takes multiple years. I think it depends on what the government comes in with for programs. I think they're going to come in with programs. We've already seen they definitely have kicked the can down the road with adjustable rate mortgages. So adjustable rate mortgages in 2020 were 2% of the market. In 21 were 4% of the market. In 2022, they're already 10% of the market. That number is going to continue to go up. The difference is that they're not teaser rates and they change after a year just to get you in the property. They are most, and they're not 2 and 28s. Most of them are 5s, which is a lot like commercial debt. But I think the bigger drag is going to be commercial real estate resetting from 375 to 775. I think that's going to be the bigger drag on the economy is a lot of commercial property. How smart does Pinterest look like right now with spending 89 billion bucks to kill that lease in San Francisco? They look pretty brilliant right there. That guy, CFO, CEO of the year right there. That's a big win, I think. So yeah, I don't think a collapse is happening. Mike doesn't think that collapse is happening. Dion doesn't think collapse is happening. I think transactions are going to fall off a cliff in July, which quite frankly, I'm looking forward to. But that fear that it will create in the market will take time to kind of work its way through. And then by that time, as many people might not be as scared. And it's not like a lot of those people have to sell. What you're going to be looking for is those distressed sales, not just sales. The distressed sales are what set the new market, the new markers for lower points of entry. And so, yeah, I just think it's going to be, it's just slow. It's just slow. I mean, you have to have some lower numbers in order to come off the 16.6 appreciation that it was said we were going to have this year. I think we finished the year probably still double digits, but I think next year we start with the trend being down. And that's why I think we give some back. I don't know how long I can call the recession lasting. If we're already in one, then I suspect it's probably going to be until the middle of next year. At the very least, I don't think it's a Great Depression. A Great Depression or a depression period is 12 quarters in a row of negative GDP. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, I suppose. But with all the faculties and all the facilities that we have at our fingertips now, it's not very it's really going to be very hard. But we just have to kind of wait and see. It's a wait and see type of thing. I'll still do deals in real estate that give me a great return on my capital. I'll still do those now. I have enough in reserves that if enough people stop paying, I still can, write a check. Or I still can, pay my mortgages. So yeah, I've gotten rid of basically any of my adjustable debt, except for a few buildings that I just couldn't because I bought them too new recently. And so our focus in those buildings is going to be to pay down the debt more aggressively with the income from the properties. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I just don't think a collapse is in the cards. I don't think it's going to be a 50% correction. I think there are going to be some corrections for sure. I just don't think it's going to be that deep. Keith Hager, type of homes we have purchased: HUD, government auctions, bank foreclosures, MLS, Craigslist, FSBO, estates, windows, and divorces. Oh, widows. Windows. I was like, what is a window house? Every house has windows. Widows, divorces, and tax sales. So HUD, yes. Government auction, yes. Bank foreclosure, yes. MLS, yes. Craigslist, yes. FSBO, yes. Estate, yes. Widow, yes. Divorce, yes. Tax sale, yes. Pre-foreclosure. I've done a pre-foreclosure, so like a short sale. Done a short sale too. Done a couple of those. So yeah, I've done all those. Yeah, LV teach me. Wow, about a firm current defaults. It's not good. Them and SoFi. Look at them. Look at them and SoFi. I'm telling you, cheap money made those companies go. Made those companies go. Cheap money gone. I don't see how those companies go. It's going to be very interesting to watch. Chester Williams, the difficulty is where the Fed's allegiance lies. Yes. So far, they've defended Wall Street over Main Street. Yes. It also doesn't help that Jerome Powell was a Goldman Sachs VP before he became the Fed chair. Yeah. So was almost everybody else. Like Hank Paulson, ex-Goldman. There were a few others too. A few others. Yep. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yep. LV teach me. I don't believe it will crash, but rather be a downturn correction. Completely agree. Yeah, 10 to 20% is what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be opportunity to find a distressed buyer and help them out of their distressed situation while at the same time rewarding me for being able to bail somebody out in a financially stressed position. It's what makes a market work. Like people that complain, there's no inventory for me. Do the work. Do the work. Of course, there's inventory for you. Of course, there is. You saw my market. My market has, when all the rest of the country is starting to build inventory, we built a tenth of a percent. A tenth of a percent is how much we built last month in May. Yeah. Yep. Anthony Russell at Chester Williams. That's the problem. Too much gold. Yeah, Goldman DNA at the Fed level. I agree. I agree with that. Yep, I agree. Flash of light, government sacks. Tyler LaBelle, totally agree. 40-year fixed, more 40-year fixed rate. Yep. More HUD. Yep. First time buyer credits. Yep. All of those are bullish for the house prices in the long term, though. Yep. Sure, 10 to 20%, but that's nothing if I'm cash flowing. Exactly. 100%. That's what it comes down to. People that are like, oh, what are you doing about interest rates at 8? I don't care. Make them 18. If the rents make me 20% on my money, I don't care if it's 8, 18, 28, or 88. I don't care. I just have to cash flow and cash flow with significant returns because that's what we look at. So yeah, I completely agree. Dawn, found a triplex that I'm going to look at. Awesome. Have a great and safe 4th. Good luck, Dawn. Go get that beautiful butterfly. I love it. LV teach me. Tyler Bell. I don't care about interest rate. Yep, exactly. If it will cash flow. Exactly. I like when my money out of pocket for expenses as should be. Yep. When no money out of pocket for expenses. Exactly. Yep. Cash flow. Yes. LV teach me. Yes. No money. Yep. Tyler LaBelle. I currently have 11 houses. Awesome. Congratulations, Tyler. That's great. And some of which have more than doubled in value since I bought them. Awesome. So a 20% decline on paper means nothing to me. In all honesty, a 50% decline in paper means nothing to you. It really doesn't. It's not going to affect your rents. Because here's the thing. Somebody's like, oh, well, if somebody else is buying in and they're buying it at $200,000 less, and I'm buying it, or I bought it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, with 5% debt. I refied it with 3.5% debt. The overall value of the asset, I don't really care about. What I really care about is how much am I cash flowing? That's what I care about. So yeah, all my deals do 20% now. That's it. And any new deal that I consider, it's got to do 20%. The new one that I'm going to close on next week, it's 30%. And after I make some adjustments, it's going to be in the 40s, maybe even 50s. And it's because they completely mispriced it because they don't sell multifamily. They completely, and I still paid way over ask. And I literally had people tell me I overpaid. I was like, I way overpaid. What am I going to do? Break down the math for them and show them that they're dumb? No, I'd rather just get the next deal that they think I overpaid for. It's math. It's so silly. Tish Williams, flash of light. It's true. It is true. It really is. Tell about math is math. Exactly. Most people don't actually know how to do the math, though. That's exactly right. That's what gives us an advantage, right? You know, somebody sent me something this morning, which was this imbecile on Instagram who was using the 1% rule. He's like, now see, and the only reason I use that voice is not because he's dumb, but because that was what his voice was. He's like, yeah, see, 1% rule. And I'm like, 1% rule, whatever. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. Not a thing. I don't know what these, I just got two pop-ups. I don't know what they mean. It says I'm live streaming. Rents minus operating expenses equals cash flow. Then cash flow dividend by acquisition costs equals return on investment. Exactly. Precisely. How is the add a floor project going? Lousy. Did the plans get approved? No, it didn't. It's going lousy. And the reason it's going lousy is because I'm still just in a holding pattern. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It bothers me. But I have to wait. In the summer, my town, the town that I'm doing this in, the city that I'm doing this in, only meets once. They meet once in July and once in August. And the July docket is already full. So I have to wait until August. So it's going to be at least 6 weeks before I hear anything on that, which completely bums me out. Here. There. Sorry, I had to minimize window. Yeah, completely bums me out. Just redid power outlets. Do you put ground plug up or down? I down. Yep. On switched outlets, or will people think you put it upside down? I put them down. Down that way. Yep. I'm double checking. Yeah, down. Always down. Always down. All the time. Yep, always down. Hate those hurry up and wait times. Yeah, no kidding, right? What a nightmare. 6 weeks. So the plans cost me $5,000. Yeah, the plans cost me $5,000. They are out, and so then they're done. And so now I'm just waiting. And so now it's with the surveyor. Because the surveyor basically then has to get the land surveyed and then pitch it at the city. So yeah. Yep. For GFCI sockets, how much would be reasonable for plugs and install? Oh, that's actually a video I'm doing this week. Don't buy GFCIs yet. I have a deal that I just got. It was less than $10 a GFCI. And they're good quality ones. Yep. Yep. I will do that video this week specifically for you, Chester. I was going to be this week or next, but I'll do that one this week now. So insulation. Shark bites and outlets. Yep. I'll do that one for you. Yep. Yeah. Less than $10 a piece. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Big savings, because a lot of times if you walk into a store, you got to pay 30 to 40 bucks for those. And so these are UL listed, meaning that they've passed the standard. UL listed, they look nice. I've used them now. So I was skeptical when I first bought them because they were under $10 a piece. And they look awesome. They look awesome. They function awesome. I was like, well, let's have them in there for a year or two and see if we end up replacing a bunch of these. We haven't. We've replaced them at no more of a rate than we replaced the other ones. I think it's just because they're all UL listed. And so I think that there's the one thing you'll watch out for too, is if you're redoing a panel, you have what's called an AFCI breaker, an arc fault circuit interrupter, AFCI, arc fault circuit interrupter. Those actually basically have like almost like a little mini chip in them, and they are ultra sensitive. They are about 50 to 60 bucks a piece instead of the old $3 breaker you used to use. And those things go bad probably 20 times more often than a regular breaker. And they are super expensive. They are ridiculous. It makes me angry. It gets very, very expensive replacing those things. We buy them by the box. Yep, we buy them by the box. We've used Square D. We've used Square D and Eaton and Murray. But our dominant one that we use the most is the dominant one that we use the most is Siemens. We use Siemens as our standard. If we change a panel, we're going Siemens. But we have those other ones in the field and we don't yank them out because they're still good. We do pull fuse panels for obvious reasons. But yeah, that is what we do. Yes, the 1% rule means nothing with 3% rates. Yep, I have some on property. Yeah, I have on some properties. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yep. All right, guys. Any other questions? I'll answer any other questions you guys have. We've got about 20 minutes left or so. It's super hot here. So I'm going to go, after this is done, I'm going to go hang out with my kids in the pool. It's fun. If sliding closet door is missing or damaged, what do you replace it with? Or do you not replace it? Is it the bypass doors, like one in front of the other? Or is it like the accordion ones that run on a bottom track and a top track? Matthew Paris, happy 4th of July weekend. Matthew Paris, you as well. You as well, you as well. Flash your light, I'm waiting for your answer. Bottom track, top track, or bypass doors? Johnny Cashflow Ramirez taking time away from the grind to check in with us. Matthew Paris, I don't replace them. I give it a curtain. Bypass door. Yeah, I replace those. Yep. I replace those. Because you can get a slab. So yes, I replace them. Yep, I replace them. Look at like a secondhand store. Like if it's a common like 4-panel or 6-panel door, look at like a Habitat for Humanity or look at something like that. Look at something like that first. Because you can probably find a door there that meets your needs for $10 or $20, as opposed to going to Home Depot and paying 60 or 70. So yeah, I would replace it. I would replace it. The curtain idea, I've done it. Don't love it. Yeah, I don't love it, but I've done it. I've done it in a couple of cases specifically, but the higher up on the rental chain you go, usually the nicer, like a bypass door, you got to leave one. Yeah, so I would use a bypass, but like I said, I would buy it at a Habitat for Humanity or something like that. Some sort of a secondhand store. You can probably find one cheap. Keith Hager, Farmers Insurance demands breakers on investment properties and 8 feet from water on GFCIs. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Well, the GFCIs, that is the breaker. So you can do a GFCI breaker, but all you're really doing is turning a normal outlet into a GFCI by having it trip at the breaker, is my understanding. So I could be wrong. I'm not an electrician, but that's my understanding. So they will require a GFCI. And if you can't rewire for that, then yes, then you can do a GFCI breaker at the actual panel. I believe that's the purpose of that. Sam Farho, is landlord responsible for any incident as a subdivision pool? Is landlord at a subdivision pool? I don't know. I don't have any. I don't know. That's a good question. I would think that the subdivision is, but I don't know. I've never run into that. Yeah, I don't know. Matthew Paris, wife loves the curtain thing. Yeah, I get it. We've done a couple. You know who doesn't like the curtain thing? Believe it or not, I've no joke, I've had appraisers comment on it. They will literally write a note. Yeah, doors were replaced with curtains. They literally have written a note. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, weird. Yeah, very weird. Um, LV teaching, lumberjack landlord. Do you have merchandise? So I do. I have shirts being made. I have shirts finally being made. We picked the right vendor. We picked the right shirt. It's not a cheap shirt that you're going to wash twice and it's not going to wear anymore. That was my big thing is I wanted it to be tough like the lumberjack. So we picked a good shirt. And so I believe we have that order coming in. I believe it's coming in a couple weeks. So yeah, we did order one. I'm very excited to have those. Yeah. You guys see the Retro Brit shirts? That's a company, a small company I own. Sort of a company, not really. It's a company that doesn't make any money. I own it more for the structure because I like motorcycles. But that shirt, I opened up a business I think 5 years ago, and I had like 20 of those shirts. And so that's why you see me wear that shirt all the time, is because I have like 20 of them. Literally, you open up my drawer, that's 20 of my 30 t-shirts or 20 of my 40 t-shirts. So yeah, we'll have some coming for sure. Dat dude. I agree, like your philosophy on making your rentals better than the next guy. Thank you. I appreciate that. The term I like use is putting in a little gingerbread into the property. Nice. Summerlin, Desert Shores, good areas, nice work. Oh, thanks. Yeah, we'll see. Summerlin, yeah, there's a lot of things Summerlin is going for. I like Desert Shores a lot too. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll just keep on doing the work and we'll find something. The big thing for us is we're going to go big bedroom count. So we're going to go at least 5 bedrooms, if not 6. And that makes the market smaller for us. And it has to have a pool. So it has to be 5 or 6. So our buy box is pretty specific with some of that stuff. Has to have a decent, and it has to have a decent pool, not like one of these rounding error pools or like lap pools. Has to have a real pool. I've got kids and I want them to have fun out in that house. Matthew Parrish, she made me rip it out, all the bifolds in the house and install corner beads. Okay. Honeydew list. Cashflow Johnny Ramirez, working on getting that unit vacant. The one you sent me the letter for. Thanks again for that. How was the letter? Did you like my letter? Johnny Cashflow offered 3K more for a vacant property. They said, sure. See, now you don't have to worry about that big problem with that guy. I love that that worked for you. Well done. Well done. Nicely done. So for those of you who don't know, Johnny Cashflow had a deal. It was a really good deal. Had a really tough tenant that was in there. Really tough. I agree with him. I think that tenant would have been problems. They would have dragged their feet. They would have made a stink. They would have blah, 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 blah. Here's the other thing too, is if he goes nuts wild, Johnny, and he makes a mess of the place, they're going to be on the hook to fix it. I think that 3K to get him out of there, I think is beautiful. I think you did a great job with that deal. I love that deal for you. That's awesome. And so this tenant, really a problem. He did a great idea and they're way under market for rent. So there's no winning in that situation. I think Johnny did a great idea, which was one of the things we had talked about in the group was, hey, offer him more money to have the guy gone. And glad that it worked out. Good for you. Letter was great. The guy was super weird guy. Yeah, dude, I get you. All the description that you put in the group about that, I think you crushed it. I think you absolutely did the right thing. I'm with you. I would have done the same thing. I would have offered more money to have the place taken over without him there. And quite frankly, an eviction in my state, if I do everything through my attorneys, an eviction is going to cost me like 2,200 anyway. So I think you crushed it. I love it. I think that's great. Sam Farho, the developer is leaving the HOA of my rental subdivision and the HOA board will be elected from the homeowners to manage the HOA. Blech. Is there an advantage of an HOA board? No. would that reduce the HOA fees in the future? No. And leaving HOA to some possible idiot operators that may not have any idea? Yes. It becomes this big political thing. And there's people that are completely power hungry that will sell their souls to get a place on that board. And then that place turns into absolute hell. It's the worst. My grandpa, John, who is an ex exec at Fortune 500 companies, he's moved into two places. Both were a complete nightmare. He went in, basically restructured them, set everything up, but the amount of work that he put into turning those things around, then he would serve on the board. He'd basically run it as president. Then he'd sometimes take a little bit of a lesser role, keep on doing it, and then he would sell his place and then he would come off the board because he would just realize, nope, this is just not going to work. So he is brilliant. And that's the money that that's the process that he had to go through. Yeah. I loathe HOAs. I think they're so awful. It's so awful. It's none of the people that have friends anymore that need a built-in way to have friends. And then all they do is talk about everybody else that's there and what a problem they are. And this is what we're going to do. It's awful. I've never had an HOA that I liked working with ever. In fact, there was an HOA that I hated so much. I did an off-market deal. I had acquired a few of the properties in it. I then basically made different owners sign an NDA. And I said, I'd like to discuss something with you, but I need you to sign an NDA first. And all of them said yes. Individually. Gave them the NDA, they signed, and then I pitched them on buying their unit. But I didn't want the other people to know. I ended up getting a super majority in that building. That's how I got it. I got NDAs, mutual NDAs signed, and then I bought the property. Hi. Thanks, buddy. You want to come in and say hi to everybody? Thanks, pal. Hey, where you going?
I found food.
Oh, you found some food?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we didn't get French fries.
You did get French fries?
We did.
Okay, that
And
sounds
now we got French fries.
all right. Sounds good.
Enjoy the laundry.
This kid enjoy the live stream. What a turkey. I love it. That's my son, Samuel. Enjoy the live stream. So funny. What a ham. Yeah. So I lost my place. Sorry. Real career young money. How do you deal with kicking out tenants that you realistically find it very hard to find another place? Example, older with fixed income. Yeah, we do everything we can to not do it. We literally do everything we can to not do it. Those 35 units that I said are under $1,000. Majority of those are older folks. Yep. So I try and have a conversation with them. And I just try and understand. It's really hard. There's a few people that I know they can't find another place. And so it's really just a matter of having a conversation with them and saying, we need to do something like this. So please, we need to have something like, something, sorry, my son just cracks me up. So I always tell them, I just need to sit down with you, have a conversation, or just better understand this. Just talk about it on the phone. I don't want you to be homeless, but we do have to find some other options because I can't afford to rent out for that number. I can't. And so that's just a conversation you have to have. That's tough landlording. In some cases where we've moved them from one unit to another unit because we have more units that can support. So if they go from like a duplex to like a 4-unit, I have more places supporting. And so I can support that rent better, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's a huge problem. It really is. It's really hard. It's really hard. But I don't kick them out. I don't kick them out. We just have to work through it. And it's a process. So it's where they can find something else that's a better option. But yeah. Yep. That's what we do. It's not just a numbers thing for me. It just isn't. It just isn't. Nope. It isn't. I remember having somebody get offended that we made it a numbers thing, but it's because that Section 8 was paying for their rent. And I said, you're not even paying it. They're like, I have to pay a percentage. I was like, you have to pay 10%. They're like, well, yeah, but this, that, and the other. And so it's going to cost me extra $40 a month to live here. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I said, that's fine. If you want, leave. I said, you're complaining about a $40 increase after you've been here for that same number for 5 years. I said, that's just ridiculous. Fine, leave, find a different place. If you become a problem, we'll evict you. It's that simple. That guy was just nothing but attitude. Nothing but attitude. So yeah, so that's a really great question. Real Career Young Money. It is. I can't do it. I don't have the heart to do it. So we just try and figure out a solution. And sometimes there's literally no solution. And then I need to a little bit understand your financial position better, because I'm willing to keep the rent as low as I possibly can, but it can't be no increase ever. Like we gotta find some way to work that out. So it's just really a conversation. Yeah, we do not. Yeah, we do. We have never, ever, 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 ever evicted somebody that was on a fixed income ever. Nope. We will work with them. We will ask them to, like, if they decided like, no, we're not going to move. No, we're not going to, no, this is just the way it's going to be. Well, then if you're digging your heels in, then I need to dig mine in. But most of the time they get it. They understand, which is the person before me didn't have a mortgage. I do have a mortgage. I have to pay taxes. I have to pay in this one particular unit I'm thinking of. I pay heat and hot water. I pay the taxes. I walk into that unit. It's 80 degrees. That unit costs me money. On the balance sheet, I know it costs me money. I make a lot less on that building because of that unit. So we just have to work something out. So I don't want to make them homeless, but we have to work something out. So yeah, we always do that. Always try to do everything we possibly can. LV teach me, I stay away from HOAs. Yeah, no kidding. HOA board is like a click. Yeah, it totally is. You nailed it, cash flow, for sure. Everyone needs to grab their digital business cards. I got mine. Yeah, Johnny Cashflow. Give me feedback. Do you have it set up? Are you tapping? Are you tapping people with it? Talk to me. Mandy W, he's so cute. Yes, thank you. Yeah, he's a great kid. If you look at my Instagram, he got to sit on a motorcycle yesterday for the first time. He was finally big enough to reach the handles. Ryan Allen, we sure do. Samuel is cute. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Enjoy the live stream. I know, what a ham. Lumberjack, thank you for accommodating the elderly. Yeah, we do. We really, really do try. I can't, but it rolls back to the bank thing. Like, I can't show on paper a bad investment to the bank. And so I do everything I can. It's like, even if I don't get anywhere near market, like I have one that's worth $1,600 a month and he's paying $9. He's got to go up. He's got to go up, because that's going to affect the banking relationship, and I tell them it's an older retired person on a fixed income. And I was like, but I know he can pay more than $950. And he's got a nicer car than I do. Yeah. He's got a nicer car than I do. Pre-Lamborghini. Rich Boudreaux. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, he's funny. Tom Kine. Thanks. MLJLO. Mini lumberjack landlord. I think that's my guess. Yeah. Mini. Yeah, he is. He's so funny. Johnny Cashflow, man, I miss my kids being that age. I missed out on a lot of it, yeah, because I was always working. Now they are 20 and 16. It goes by fast. Yeah, so that you guys see, that's why I actually waited to have kids. So I'm a really old young dad. I started having kids at 40. Mrs. Lumberjack is 32. Thank you, God. And yeah, it's an awesome ride, but that's why. So my job now, my day job, I work from home. And so I wake up with my kids, I have breakfast with my kids, I don't fly anymore. And then I go into my office and I work, and then I come out for lunch and I spend time with my kids. And then I go back to work, and then I come out and I spend time with my kids and do dinner time and bedtime and playtime and all that stuff. And this weekend, I'll set foot in probably a couple pieces of real estate, but you know what? They're going to be with me. They come with, we bring the entire family, all the kids actually come. We all go into our properties so they can see it. They can see it. They can see that everybody that they've only, Samuel has seen more than, he lived in he was born, when he was born, it was a duplex, but the other two have never seen anything but our nice home. And we lived pretty poor. Yeah, we lived pretty poor. Or pretty conservatively, frugally. And so the youngest two, they've only seen our lifestyle now. So we keep them humble, and we talk a lot about, that we provide homes for people, and that it's our job to make sure that the house is taken care of. So yeah, they're learning all that stuff now for sure. And so, yeah, it was a plan. We waited that long to have kids. It was planned. Sometimes you think and you go, that might not have been the best plan. It's been pretty good so far. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm most excited to retire is I get to spend that much more time with my kids. And yeah, I'm so excited for that reason. I love spending time with my kids. They're hilarious. Johnny Cashflow, I'm 39, started early. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you did. Look at you. Yeah, that was not for me. That was not for me. I couldn't, do the math, right? So 40 is when we had kids and Ashley was 32. So that'd have been a problem if I had started at 19. That wouldn't have been good. So yeah, I had to wait. We always joke. It's like, I had to wait for you to get old enough to be like, ready to start a family. We started dating. So we've been together for 17. October is 17 years we've been together. So long time. So yeah, so we waited a long time before we even started having kids. Some of it was by choice. Other parts were not by choice, but yeah, we did. Rich Boudreaux. And with that, I'm dipping. Thanks, Matt. You're welcome, Rich. Appreciate you. Sam Farho. Hello, cute man. Yeah, he's great. Sam Farho, best Sunday morning. Thank you, Matt. You're welcome. I'm happy to do this with you guys. I really enjoy it too. Johnny Cashflow Mirrors, still setting it up. Been pretty busy, but it's dope. You can scan or QR if the tap doesn't work. Yep, totally. Still messing around with it. So yeah, exactly. So you can tap it, and that's an NFC setting on the other phone. A lot of people, what I found, don't have NFC turned on. So if you have an Android phone, guys, I don't know how it works on an iPhone, but if you have an Android phone, it's as simple as settings and then connections. And then there's a little thing here that says NFC and contactless payment. So you just click that NFC, and that NFC button will make it so you can tap. Will you make it so you can tap the phone? What's really cool too is if you show somebody that, like, oh, I didn't have any idea that's how it worked. It's a great opening to get them your digital business card, have them remember you, and remember that your buy box is right on there. So yeah, it's a pretty sick tool. And again, I can't remember the last thing that I bought for that little of money that made that big of a difference in my business. 15, 20, 25 bucks, upwards of, you can get some of the more expensive ones that might be a couple hundred. Although I haven't really found the value in the extra couple hundred, except for like personal branding and things like that. So, and at the end of the day, honestly, if you have a personal brand, like if I had it to do over again, I'd get a different decal and put the decal on the blank card. That's what I would do. That was a mistake I made. I got the card and I was like, golly, should have done that differently. Idiot. Tom Kind, Matt the Lumberjack Landlord. Oh, no worries. Yeah, Mini Lumberjack Landlord, he's that too. Yep. Johnny Cashflow Mirrors, for what it costs, it's worth it. Oh yeah, like 15 bucks, right? 15, 20 bucks, 25 bucks. Like it's nothing. It's nothing. All right, last chance for questions, guys. I'm happy to answer more questions if you've got them. start to wind down. Ryan Allen, happy Independence Day. Thank you. You as well. July 2nd, nationally recognized as the 4th. Have a great weekend. Ryan Allen dropping the knowledge. That's true. That's true. It's kind of like the Sabbath being Sunday. It's actually Saturday. LV, teach me. I see NFC and contactless payment. Yep. Yeah. So if you have that, and if LV, the digital business card. So I did a video on that. I'm not sure if you watched it, but I did one on the digital business card. That's my digital business card. Pretty cool, eh? And so when I meet somebody at a meetup, I just say, oh, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Matt. I'd love to give you my contact information and kind of the stuff that I'm buying in the market. And they're like, sure. So, hey, if you ever come across it, just remember, let me just tap your phone. It's my digital business card. You get all my contact information. Then when a screen comes up with mine, I can actually exchange information with them. I don't know if the other cards work necessarily that way. But again, I way overspent on this card. Do not buy this card. It's too expensive. I would have bought something else and just put a sticker on it. That was my mistake. That was stupid. But it works NFC. It also works QR code. So people can literally snap the QR code. My phone number, my social media accounts, everything I can put there. But most importantly, I read earlier the description of my buy box. And so literally when you tap the phone here, I'll give you guys another demo again. Demo. So we'll click NFC contactless payment. And literally it's like this. Sorry. Yep, there we go. So you just tap the phone, just like I tapped the phone right here. And then on the phone, because I don't have a designated browser, I use Chrome for some and Samsung for others, but I pick Chrome here just once. And then it gives me see, then it gives me the full description. Try and see if you guys can see that. But that's what it does. So it allows me to basically list out so I can save. So it clicks up where they can hit save on the contact, goes into their phone, or also that they can then exchange contacts. So that's pretty cool. And I just put my buy box in here. I'm always buying 2 to 20 unit multifamily properties in these 3 towns. I list out the 3 towns, as well as New Hampshire waterfront properties. Whoever brings the deal first, we do the deal with. We have 115 units in those markets. We can buy cash. We are pre-qualified up to X amount. We can close fast and inspections are optional. Just that simple. My buy box right there. So if you haven't, check out my video. I even left a link in there for all the different ones you guys should consider. All of them are good. Just pick the one that gives you the features that you want the most. They start at like 15 bucks and they go up to like 25. And then some of them have a monthly fee, but you'll see that on all of the products. I haven't figured out, unless you have like a team of people, that I see like getting it for the team, then it might make sense. But yeah, so far for me and for the couple people I have that I let them carry one, the way that we've been doing it has been fine. They get my profile. I expect in the next couple of months, I'm going to start to get messages from people that I don't even remember because they're going to have my profile info. And I think that that's just a major thing. Sunday live stream. Tell everyone your buy box. One rental at a time. Michael, what are you doing here? My buy box. Okay. My buy box refined after constantly being refined, but now refined for the last few years. I think we basically say the same. Do not do this at home. Do not try this at home. Do not try this at home. You should only learn one market at a time. But mine's over 20 years. So this is where it's different. I have 7 buy boxes. I have a buy box in 3 different towns that is anything duplex, triplex, or quadplex. Anything duplex, triplex, or quadplex. I also have the same buy box, or I have a buy box in all three of those towns as well for 5 to 100 unit stuff. That usually stuff doesn't hit that. It doesn't usually hit MLS where I am, but it's to cover the other stuff. So I have 6 buy boxes, 2, 3, and 4 unit in 3 different towns in one place, 5 unit to 100 unit in the other 3. And then what was my 7th? I have a 7th buy box. I can't remember it because I don't think a lot of stuff comes up in there very often. Elite investors with 7 buy boxes. Wow. Yes. Yes, I have 7 buy boxes. I do. Little bit different. So for those of you who do not invest in very large markets, my markets are 4,000 people in one town, 15,000 people in another town, and then about 30,000 people in one of the cities. So I have a total of 50,000 people in my 3 towns. And so that in the last few weeks has given me about 10 to 15 properties to choose from. But for the last 2 years, consistently, it's been more like 3 to 5. So there's not a ton of stuff that comes, that comes into my buy box. But I find a way to make the deals that do come into my buy box work. Well, find a way to see what we would need to do. So it does give me the opportunity to go pretty deep on a house, because there's not a ton of volume coming through. How was that one rents all the time? Description of my buy box and how I do it. Tom Kind, Matt, need a recommendation on something? Gonna send an email. Lumberjacklandlord@gmail. Tom. LV Teach Me. Thank you, Lumberjack, for the demonstration and tips. Yeah, no, happy to do it. I just gave you guys like the icebreaker to get you in on any of those meetups. Guys, if you're going to a meetup, there is no reason why you shouldn't be slapping that card on at least 5 or 10 people's phones while you're there. People got to know your buy box. They got to know your buy box. I got a call out of the blue last week from somebody that knew my buy box. Hey, any interest in a 5 unit? I think you said you like 5 units. I do like 5 units. And so like, yeah, hey, this is the deal, blah, blah, blah. We just had a deal fall apart on it. But, would you like to take a look? Sure. Why'd the deal fall apart? Financing. Cool. Would love to come see it. Went and saw it. It was a complete and total dump. I loved it. Because I was like, yeah, I can spend 100 grand and I can make this place amazing. The problem is that the owner still wanted, like, it was like the work was almost done and it just wasn't. So anyway, so we had to go back and forth a little bit. That was the one that I said to the guy, I said, I would love to buy from you. I'd love to work with you. I just can't get there on these numbers. And so I had to walk away, but I had to do it really graciously because I know he owns a bunch of other stuff. He actually, I just found out he sold a 54 unit portfolio to a fund. He wouldn't do seller financing on it because I had talked to him about it. And he wanted to sell the whole fund, the whole portfolio or none of it. It just didn't make any sense for me to buy the whole thing. There was just too much in there that would have taken me out of the game because he really was a slumlord. Didn't fix his properties. There was way too much deferred maintenance and just an issue. He sold his portfolio. That company just notified housing that they're pulling all 54 units were in housing. They just told them that they're eliminating all 54 units. They are pulling all 54 units. Yeah. Crazy. All 54 units they're pulling. So the housing authority is going to have a problem. Big time. Big time. They're going to have to make up for 54 units because he's basically giving them all notices now. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where did I find him? He found me. He found me. Yep. He talked to somebody and he was like, oh, have you run that past this guy, Matt? He's like, no. And he didn't. So he was represented by an agent. He didn't have them all in one LLC. There were only a bunch of different LLCs. So yeah, I didn't find him. Can't take any credit for it. Well, I guess the credit that I could take is that agents that are powerful, that are in the know, that know the people that have that type of stuff, he knew me, and that was good enough to get a phone call. Yeah, really bummed we couldn't work out the deal. He's got an amazing property manager. She's a rock star. Holy cow, is she good? But yeah, couldn't do the deal. Very bummed, but whatever. The problem is that, in doing the math on the deal, it was a decent deal. It was double-digit return. The problem was that every single property, it was at least, it needed probably 3 years worth of work and probably $2 to $3 million worth of rehab work across the units. It's just bad. So what ended up happening with the agent who tried to double end on your deal, waiting for it to close. I drove to the guy's house. Thanks, Janelle. I drove to the guy's house twice or 3 times. I was sick when I did it one time, so I can't remember if that was the second time or the third time. I drove 2 or 3 times to his house, could never catch him home. And so I don't know. I don't know about the deal yet. So I'm waiting for it to close to see if she double ended it. Yep. C'est la vie. I've already looked at 4 deals since then. Bummed it didn't happen, but I'm just a big believer that, what comes around goes around, or what goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. Just a big believer in that. So, yeah. Biblical principle of so shall you sow, so shall you reap. What is it? A Buddhist principle of karma? So it depends. Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happened. I think she double ended it. So we'll see. I would be willing to bet she did. I'd be willing to bet she definitely double ended it. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be very interesting. Yeah, I think that's everything. So this week, insulation, shark bites, outlets. I will cover those this week in the live stream, or not in live stream, in landlord review videos for you guys. I will cover those. Don't forget, Tuesday I'm on with Mike from One Rental at a Time. And Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific time, Dion will be back. So I will not be filling in for him, but I will be hanging out there to make sure that we reduce the amount of porn we're all exposed to on his live streams. Just don't click the link. And then Thursday, 3 Amigos, I think regular schedule this week. So I'm excited for that. And we'll be happy to do that. LV, teach me, what do you think about sub 2? Love subject twos, love them. I think this market more than ever, I think what's going to blow people's minds is subject to deals. I think in this market, when you have a 2.5% or 3% loan, that sub 2 loan is now an asset. So I think there's going to be a significant opportunity. Now depending on the market, you're going to likely have to kick in cash on top and then do the sub 2, like pay them for their deal more than just assuming their loan. There will be opportunities, I think, with some sub 2s to assume the loan. The problem is I think there's still a lot of places that have so much equity in their house, they can just sell it. So again, sub 2, I think, is going to be the most important, along with seller financing, I think, are the 2 most important skills to learn in the next few years. And then also value investing like I do, where I expect to do 10 or 20,000 bucks worth of work to a place, but I'm going to get massive returns on that. It's going to take a deal that if I buy something ready I can get 8%, but if I buy something that needs 10 or 20 grand worth of work, after I'm done, I can get 25%. That's how most of my deals end up in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. That's usually it. So I think sub two is a super important skill. It's in Mike's course. I think Ryan Nickel did that part of sub two. You can learn a lot of what you need to learn from that. And also just by watching Pace Morby, you can watch Pace Morby. His course is like 8 grand, 8 to 10 grand. And actually it goes up to 19,000 depending on the amount of mentoring you want. Yeah, I just can't. Yeah. Good for him. Good for him. He's super smart. He's monetized his gifts, talents, and abilities. So good for him. Janelle, what ended up happening? Oh, that was sorry. Happy 4th. Thanks for spending your Sunday with us again. Yeah, I'm happy to do it, guys. It was always, as always, so much fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a very happy 4th. Like, subscribe, check out the review video on the digital business card. And check out, we've got the upcoming reviews this week. And then one of the things that I think a lot of self-managing landlords underestimate is the plumbing issue that we talked about, that I believe that tool fixes you. And I'll be doing the second part of that this week, which is the shark bite piece. And then insulation. For those of you who care about insulation, I can walk you through all that because we do gut rehabs all the time. We can kind of give you some ideas there with energy bills that are going to cost crazy money in the Northeast this year. There are things you should absolutely be doing for your property that you should be watching that. And then I'll put links in there for the products that you should buy. Should help you guys out. If you need anything or have any questions, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. But guys, have an awesome week. And I will probably talk to some of you again on Dion's live stream on Tuesday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Eastern, or 7 p.m., excuse me, Eastern time. And then Mike Zuber does his on Saturdays at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. Always worth catching. Great hanging out with you guys. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'm going to go hang out in the pool and float. Thanks, guys. Take care.